Chapter 268. Of course it's fine if Huier wants to make them. Yun'er won't be able to finish these 7 or 8 bolts of cloth by herself. It's just right for you to take 2 bolts, Xuanhuan said. If Zhao Yun'er was beside them and heard Xuanhua's words, she would probably be angered to death. This level of shamelessness is too amazing, isn't it? She was obviously giving her things to Zhao Xinhui. She made it sound as if she was helping Zhao Yun'er solve the problem of the cloth. Yes. Thank you, mother. Zhao Xinhui's face was full of smiles. With beautiful clothes and so much money at home, she could be considered a young miss in the future. Zhao Xinhui couldn't wait to finish making the clothes and then wear them to walk around the village. Grandmother, there's still so much cloth left. Can you make 2 sets of clothes for Auntie and let me choose 1 bolt of cloth to make 1 set? Zhao Ping'er looked at Xuanhua expectantly. Do you think Xuanhua will agree? After all, she had asked Xuanhua to allocate a room for her and Xuanhua had agreed. Before Xuanhua could reply, Zhao Xinhui snorted coldly. Zhao Ping, why don't you take a look at your face? It's a waste for you to wear such good clothes. Do you want to wear better clothes to seduce someone? It's useless anyway. Men will vomit when they see your face. It's better for people to know their place. Zhao Xinhui mercilessly poked at Zhao Ping'er's sore spot. Zhao Ping'er looked at Zhao Xinhui angrily. This woman was too much. How dare she say that to her? However, Zhao Xinhui's arrogant and despotic manner was protected by Xuanhua. Zhao Ping'er knew that no matter how unhappy she was with Zhao Xinhui's words, she couldn't go against Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Ping'er suppressed the anger in her heart and complained, Auntie, how can you say that to me? If you can wear better clothes, can't I wear better clothes? Don't all girls like to wear good clothes? They don't need other men to look at them. It's fine as long as they look comfortable. Zhao Xinhui mocked again. She looked at Zhao Ping'er and raised her chin arrogantly. I wear good clothes because I'm pretty. In the future, a rich man will take a fancy to me and I'll marry into a good family. In the future, I'll lead the old Zhao family to live a good life. Can you do that? Xuanhua also chimed in. That's right. Ping'er girl, dress your auntie nicely. In the future, when your auntie marries into a good family, she'll lead us to a good life. It's a waste for you to wear it. But auntie, my clothes are old and torn. I want new clothes. Then I'll buy you some coarse cloth to make clothes. Zhao Ping'er pouted and looked unhappy. This was too much. How could they treat her like this? No, she had to go back and talk to her parents. Since these things belonged to Zhao Yun'er, the old Zhao family couldn't keep them. They had to give them to Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er had to give them to her parents. When the time came, she could ask them to share some of these good things with her. There are still a few bolts of cloth. Get one and make a set of clothes for Pan-er, Xuanhua said with a smile. Xuanhua really loved this eldest granddaughter-in-law. She couldn't bear to part with other people, but she was generous to Shin Pan-er for once. Chapter 269. Now that her name was mentioned, Shin Pan-er couldn't pretend to be uninvolved. Xuanhua had good intentions, but Shin Pan-er was a sensible person. No matter how good something was, no matter how much she liked it, she wouldn't want it if she shouldn't have it. She didn't want to be implicated if anything happened. Thus, she smiled at Xuanhua and said, Grandma, I have clothes to wear. I don't need to dress up too well. Can you make a few more clothes for younger aunt? Younger aunt isn't married yet, so it's always a good thing to wear something nice. Shin Pan'er's tone was gentle, showing that she didn't fight for anything. At the same time, she was thinking for Zhao Xinhui. Everyone in old Zhao's family liked this kind of delicate and sensible person. Even Zhao Xinhui, who didn't like to get close to others, had a good impression of Shin Pan-er. Usually, he would intimately hold Shin Pan-er's hand and chat with her. When Xuanhua heard Shin Pan-er's words, she looked at Shin Pan-er with admiration. In old Zhao's family, she was the most sensible granddaughter-in-law. She didn't like her for nothing. If Pan-er says so, then forget it. But now our family has money. When Tianlong goes to the capital to study, let him bring more money with him. After all, he has to socialize there. It's not good if he doesn't have money, Xuanhua said. Shin Pan-er didn't reject Xuanhua's words. She didn't say whether the money was taken from the things she gave to Zhao Yun'er. It could be considered old Zhao's family's money. If anything happened in the future, she wouldn't have to take responsibility. It's only right to give Tianlong more money. When Tianlong passes the imperial examinations, he'll be able to help old Zhao's family, Li Chuiying agreed. Xuanhua was overjoyed. All right. Let's not stay in the house anymore. Let's go back inside. Move these things into the house. Don't show off your wealth. It won't be good if others see it. Xuanhua shouted. Okay. The others responded and began to move the things into the house. After everything was piled up in Xuanhuan's room, the people who had gathered around old Zhao's house to watch the fun didn't leave. Instead, he was even more curious about what was going on. Was old Zhao's family going to make a fortune? Although they were all country bumpkins, they weren't country bumpkins. They didn't touch anything. He could still recognize gold, silver, and jewels. Who sent so many good things to old Zhao's family? Could it be that someone is here to propose marriage? That Zhao Xinhui is quite pretty. Perhaps a young master from a rich family has taken a fancy to her. That's possible. After all, she's so good-looking. Alas, nowadays it's good to be good-looking. If she can marry into a good family, it seems that old Zhao's family is going to live a good life. I think she's going to be someone's concubine. We country bumpkins definitely won't marry a rich man's wife. What's so good about being a concubine? No matter how rich she is, she's still a concubine. It's better for her to marry into a poor family. At least she's still a concubine. Someone couldn't stand it and said jealously, "You can't say that. We country bumpkins are poor. All we want is to live a good life." Since they sent so many things, it shows that they value Zhao Xinhui. If she marries into their family, she won't suffer too much. Chapter 270. The villagers gathered in the courtyard to discuss, but they couldn't come up with anything. Someone said, "Why don't we go and ask?" We can go and ask. Look at how happy old Zhao's family is. They probably want people to ask. Let's go and ask. Therefore, the people who wanted to join in the fun gathered together and entered the courtyard of old Zhao's house. "And Zhao, congratulations." "Yes, what's the big deal? Who sent you so many things?" Xuanhuan was surrounded and questions came from all around. She didn't know what was going on, so how could she explain it to these people? She said, "It's nothing." "How can it be nothing? I think it's a happy occasion." Xuanhuan pursed her lips. "It's really nothing. If there's a happy occasion, I'll definitely let you know." "And Zhao, you don't want to tell us. Why are you hiding something good from us? We're all villagers. Don't treat us like strangers." "That's right. Just tell us." Xuanhuan didn't know how to respond. She couldn't say that she had received gifts from someone for Zhao Yun, or she would be scolded to death. Okay. Don't ask. When the day of the happy occasion comes, I'll definitely let you know. It's hard to say now. Xuanhuan said vaguely to deal with the villagers. Seeing that Xuanhuan didn't want to reveal anything, they knew that they wouldn't be able to get anything out of her even if they asked. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Old Zhao's courtyard, which was originally bustling with noise, suddenly became quiet. However, after the villagers asked, old Zhao's family began to pay attention. Who was this young Master Meng? Why did he send gifts to Zhao Yun? Mother, why do you think he sent so many treasures to Yun? Li Chuanying asked embarrassedly. She was also very curious. Xuanhuan snapped, "How would I know? You're asking me, but who would I ask?" "Mother, do you think it's a rich young master who has taken a fancy to Yun? Li Chuanying guessed. Otherwise, she couldn't think of a reason. He has taken a fancy to Zhao Yun? Xuanhuan thought and sneered. How's that possible? Who would take a fancy to Yun? Rich young masters have all kinds of women. Not to mention a woman with a child like Zhao Yun. Mother, then tell me why? They're not stupid. They definitely wouldn't send so many good things over for no reason." "You're right. Could it be that someone has taken a fancy to Yun? I think so. But mother, it's good. Since someone has taken a fancy to Yun, it's a good thing. I think it won't be long. Our old Zhao's family is asking for her hand in marriage. Now that they've sent so many gifts, the gift money will definitely be more. Anyway, Yun hasn't married yet. When the time comes, we'll marry her off." Li Chuanying was a little excited as she spoke. When she thought of money, she was easily excited. It seemed that her life would be better in the future. Hearing Li Chuanying's words, Xuanhuan thought that it was true. Chapter 271. They sent so many good things over, but Zhao Yun didn't accept them, let alone let Zhao Yun get married. Moreover, Zhao Yun had already moved out of the family, so it was not easy to control her. Li Chuanying smiled and said, "Mother, why are you worried about this? After all, Yun is a member of our Zhao family. Her parents' orders and matchmakers' words, this girl's marriage will naturally be arranged by our elders. Besides, young Master Meng was not bad. To be able to marry such a rich man like young Master Meng, it was Yun's blessing. Many people in the village wanted to find a good family for their daughter, but they could not find one like young Master Meng. Why doesn't Yun agree?" That's true. Although Yun has separated from the family, We still have to take care of her marriage according to the orders of her parents and the words of the matchmaker. That's right, mother. The other members of the old Zhao family were listening. Zhao Ping'er was a little envious and jealous of Zhao Yun'er. Why could Zhao Yun'er marry into a good family? She wouldn't have to worry about food or clothes for the rest of her life. Liang Jinxiao frowned and said in a low voice, Mother, I still think that Yun'er has grown up. She can decide her own marriage. If young Master Meng wants to marry her, he has to ask for Yun'er's opinion. Li Chuiying snorted and quickly fanned the flames in Xuanhuan's ears. Sister-in-law, how can you be like this? You always disagree with our mother. Yun'er's marriage, as an elder, of course I can handle it. Besides, it's not harming Yun. Young Master Meng is such a good man. It's good enough that he likes a woman with a child. She has the right to be picky. Does she really think that she can find a better family? But Liang Jinxiao still frowned. There was nothing wrong with what she said, but it made people feel uncomfortable. Well, third brother's wife, don't talk so much. Let's talk about this later. Okay then. Old Zhao's family members ran away. Xuanhuan pulled Zhao Xinhui into her room and said to Zhao Xinhui, it's one thing to make beautiful clothes for you. Now hurry up and pick a few pieces of jewelry that you like. It'll match with the clothes later. Xuanhuan couldn't give Zhao Xinhui beautiful jewelry in front of the other branches. Otherwise they would probably fight for it. Zhao Xinhui's eyes lit up. Mother, really? Of course it's true. Mother won't lie to you. But you can't pick too many. 3 pieces are enough. Zhao Xinhui nodded heavily and then began to pick from the box. In the end, she chose a gold hairpin, a gold bracelet, and a pearl necklace. Mother, do you think I look good wearing it? Zhao Xinhui waved the gold bracelet on her wrist in front of Xuanhua's eyes. Yes. My Hui naturally looks good wearing it. Mother, I think it looks good too, Zhang Xinhui said with a grin. She happily brought the jewelry into her room. After Zhao Yun'er went back, she hurriedly prepared lunch. However, she was a little absent-minded because of young Master Meng. Chapter 272. If young Master Meng really came with the character of old Zhao's family, they would definitely sell her out. Seeing Zhao Yun'er come back from old Zhao's house with a heavy heart, Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but worry. He asked, Miss Yun'er, what's wrong? Is there something wrong? Mu Lianfeng hoped that Zhao Yun'er could confide in him. If he had the ability, he would also help Zhao Yun'er solve her problem. Zhao Yun'er shook her head. Nothing. There are too many weirdos in my family. Did someone bully you? No, how could it be? How could those people bully me? Although those people in old Zhao's family were a little weirdos, they didn't dare to do anything to her. She was worried about young Master Meng. He was rich and powerful. He probably had connections with both the underworld and the legal world. If he wanted to make things difficult for a little peasant girl like her, it would be a simple matter. In this era, it was really difficult to live without money and power. For a commoner, someone with power could casually use some tricks to kill her. She didn't have anyone to rely on now. Naturally, she couldn't deal with someone like young Master Meng. Mu Lianfeng smiled slightly. Zhao Yun'er said it casually, but he knew that things were definitely not that simple. Miss Yun'er, if there's anything, please tell me. If I can help you, I will definitely help you. I definitely won't let anyone bully you. Mu Lianfeng said seriously, as if he was reminding Zhao Yun'er. Okay. Zhao Yun'er responded. She was very touched by Mu Lianfeng's actions. However, Mu Lianfeng wasn't anyone to her. She couldn't rely on him for a lifetime. If there was anything in the future, she had to deal with it herself. After recuperating for a few days, Mu Lianfeng's body was no longer like before. The wound on his ankle was almost healed, so it was fine if he moved slightly. Now Mu Lianfeng could slowly move to the toilet by himself. Mu Lianfeng really didn't like using the cesspool in Zhao Yun'er's house. This was too simple and crude. It was just 2 wooden planks. With such a large person on top of it, there was a feeling that the planks would not be able to bear his weight. If the planks collapsed, his whole body would fall into the cesspool. So every time he went to the toilet, Mu Lianfeng was a little careful. He didn't want the planks to collapse. Many seeds planted in the vegetable garden in Zhao Yun'er's garden had sprouted, and a bunch of them had sprouted. Zhao Yun'er saw that it was almost time to fertilize the vegetables. There was nothing to do in the afternoon. Zhao Yun'er took a dung bucket and prepared to go to the latrine pit to get some dung to water. However, before Mu Lianfeng went to the toilet, he didn't greet Zhao Yun'er. When Zhao Yun'er pushed the door open, she saw Mu Lianfeng, who had taken off his pants, squatting in the cesspool. Both of them were stunned for a few seconds. Chapter 273. After Mu Lianfeng coughed awkwardly, Zhao Yun finally reacted. I. Zhao Yun quickly turned her back and rubbed her forehead. Oh my god, who could tell her what kind of embarrassing thing she had done again? She didn't know how to explain it to Mu Lianfeng now. I didn't know there was someone in the latrine. Young Master Mu, why didn't you tell me when you went to the latrine? I could have helped you. Zhao Yun said awkwardly, but if she didn't say anything the atmosphere would be even more awkward. Thinking of the scene she saw just now, Zhao Yun was extremely embarrassed. Thinking about it, Mu Lianfeng was really pitiful. She had seen his entire body from head to toe. Since she had seen him naked, Zhao Yun wondered if she should be responsible for Mu Lianfeng. I can do it myself, so I didn't trouble Miss Yun. Does Miss Yun also want to go to the latrine? Do you want me to hurry? Mu Lianfeng asked. No need, no need. Young Master Mu, you can take your time. I'll leave first. Just let me know when you're done. Zhao Yun said this and hurriedly ran away. When she reached the front yard, her entire face was red. It was probably the first time she had encountered such an embarrassing situation. When Daodu saw Zhao Yun like this, he quickly asked, Mother, what's wrong? Why is your face so red? Are you feeling unwell? Mother, it's nothing. Zhao Yun quickly said. Oh mother, it's good that you're fine. I'll continue to play with Xiao Mao. Daodu said in a soft voice. After a while he ran away. He probably wanted to get some grass for Xiao Mao first and feed it to it later. Not long after, Mu Lianfeng came out of the latrine. Miss Yun, I'm done. Oh, young Master Mu, you're so fast? Zhao Yun felt a little guilty in her heart. Did she interrupt the other party's mood? Was that why it was done so quickly? Mu Lianfeng didn't know how to answer Zhao Yun's question. After all, he also felt embarrassed. Then I'm going. Zhao Yun took the dung bucket and went to the latrine. She got some dung and mixed it with some water. Then she began to fertilize the vegetables in the vegetable garden. Once the excrement was stirred up, the entire courtyard was filled with that smell. However, the villagers seemed to be used to it. After all, they didn't have any other fertilizers, so they often fertilized their vegetables like this. When Zhao Yun was doing it, her stomach churned a few times and she felt a little nauseous. Unfortunately, she had to do it herself and she had to endure the discomfort in her heart. Mu Lianfeng stood by the door and looked outside. He could see Zhao Yun's figure busily working in the vegetable garden. A hint of heartache appeared in his eyes. He didn't expect that Zhao Yun would have to do it herself. It was really too tiring. Chapter 274. Zhao Tianlong and Zhao Wenxing had rented an ox cart and the two of them sat on it. There were also some things on the cart. For tomorrow's banquet, other than some vegetables and meat dishes, they could buy everything in the village. For those that could not be bought, they bought them from the town and brought them back, saving them the trouble of making another trip. Naturally, this time, Zhao Tianlong's banquet was not a traditional one. It was just some delicious food and a banquet for the villagers to celebrate Zhao Tianlong's birthday. Of course, the villagers had to send gifts to old Zhao's family first. It was up to them to decide how much they wanted to send. In any case, they did not have to go by the traditional way. The ox cart passed by Zhao Yun's house. Zhao Yun originally did not want to join in the fun, but the ox cart finally stopped in front of her house. Zhao Wenxing walked down from the ox cart with a piece of pork in his hand. It was estimated to be 1 jin heavy. Since he was already in front of her house, Zhao Yun had no reason to not see him. This was also the first time she met Zhao Tianlong face to face. This was the first time Zhao Yun met her eldest cousin brother. He gave off a good impression. His face was very delicate and pretty, and he had a scholarly air about him. He was a little thin, but he was still tall and barely passable. A man like Zhao Tianlong was considered rare in the village. After all, it was hard to find a man who had studied and was not bad-looking. It was no wonder that Xin Pan was willing to marry into the village. She had probably taken a fancy to Zhao Tianlong. When Zhao Tianlong faced Zhao Yun, he gave a faint smile and his attitude was neither cold nor warm. Zhao Yun did not expect him to be so warm. After all, compared to the other people in old Zhao's family who looked down on her and gave her the cold shoulder, his attitude was much better. However, for some reason, Zhao Yun could still feel the alienation and isolation from Zhao Tianlong. If the two of them had not met face to face, perhaps he would not even bother to greet her. This faint smile was only out of politeness and to ease the awkwardness. Zhao Wenxing carried the pork and handed it to Zhao Yun. Yun girl, I said that I would bring this for you from the town. Eat some with Daodu to nourish your body. Zhang Wenxing had used his own private savings to buy the pork. He remembered that his niece was living a difficult life, so he brought 1 jin of pork back from the town this time. The ox cart had stopped in front of Zhao Yun'er's house was to give the food to Zhao Yun'er in advance. Otherwise, after returning to old Zhao's house, if he wanted to send the pork to Zhao Yun'er again, xuanhuan and the others would probably make a fuss again. Fifth uncle. Zhao Yun'er saw that Zhao Wenxing was actually thinking about her. It would be a lie to say that she was not moved. Thinking about it, not everyone in old Zhao's family was a weirdo. There were quite a few decent ones. Why are you in a daze? Take it. But don't tell your grandmother and the others. Zhao Wenxing warned. Zhao Yun'er did not refuse. Since Zhao Wenxing had personally brought it back to her, it meant that he was sincere. Thank you, fifth uncle. You're welcome. Yun'er, your eldest cousin brother and I will go back first. If you want to play, you can go over in a while. It's probably lively at home. Today is a happy day. If you go over, your grandmother and the others will definitely not say anything. Zhao Yun'er was too lazy to go over, but in front of Zhao Wenxing she did not refuse. Thus she said, okay fifth uncle. You can go back first. Okay. Chapter 275. It just so happened that she didn't buy meat today because she bought the donkey. Later she would ask Zhao Wenxing to send her a caddy of pork, so she could add more food for the children at home. Mu Lianfeng propped himself up and walked behind Zhao Yun'er unknowingly. Zhao Yun'er turned around and almost bumped into Mu Lianfeng. Young Master Mu, why are you here? Zhao Yun'er asked. This man had suffered such a serious injury. Shouldn't he be lying in bed and recuperating? Why was he moving around so casually? Forget that, he even came to a place like the kitchen. The originally low wooden shed was occupied by Mu Lianfeng's tall body, and the space instantly became much smaller. Mu Lianfeng stood in front of Zhao Yun'er like a tall mountain. It's so boring to stay in the house every day. I just want to follow behind Miss Yun'er and look around. This kitchen is my first time entering. Mu Lianfeng said as his eyes glanced around and looked at the kitchen. Zhao Yun'er was stunned as she digested the meaning of Mu Lianfeng's words. Was there any other hint? Was he complaining that she didn't talk to him more? But she faced Mu Lianfeng every day. It was already awkward for a man and a woman to be alone. If they talked more, what could she and Mu Lianfeng talk about? After all, they weren't lovers, nor were they husband and wife. If they weren't talking about love, they definitely wouldn't have so much to talk about. Zhao Yun'er was even more afraid that after interacting with each other for a long time, feelings would develop over time. What if she really had that kind of deep affection for Mu Lianfeng? What should she do? Then if you're bored, follow me. But it seems like you'll still be bored? Why don't you play with Daodu? Zhao Yun'er asked. Mu Lianfeng pursed his lips and smiled. Miss Yun'er, do you think I'm a child? No, I was just suggesting. Zhao Yun'er seemed a little awkward. She did not think that Mu Lianfeng was as childish as a child. She had no other intentions. Mu Lianfeng must have misunderstood. I think it's better to be with Miss Yun'er. Miss Yun'er, just say a few words and I won't be bored, Mu Lianfeng said with a hint of craftiness in his eyes. Zhao Yun'er pursed her lips. All right then. But in front of Mu Lianfeng, what could she say? Young Master Mu, why don't I tell you a few jokes? Zhao Yun'er thought about it and said to Mu Lianfeng. It was also good to let Mu Lianfeng have some fun. Miss Yun'er, go ahead. Zhao Yun'er thought about it and said. The bride walked out of the bridal chamber in pain early the next morning. She held the wall with one hand and covered her lower body with the other. She cursed loudly, what a liar. Before the wedding she said that she had 30 years of savings. I thought it was money. After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, Mu Lianfeng was stunned. He did not seem to understand what Zhao Yun'er meant by this joke. But after a while he immediately responded. There was a hint of an ambiguous smile in his eyes. Zhao Yun'er saw that Mu Lianfeng did not smile and was looking at her ambiguously instead. She frowned awkwardly. Her joke had simply blurted it out without much thought. At that time, the men in the office often whispered dirty jokes in her ear, so when she heard it, the moment she thought of the joke, she reflexively blurted out what they had said before. Now great. Chapter 276. She rubbed her forehead. She could not take back what she had said. It was useless to regret it. Miss Yun'er's joke is quite interesting, Mu Lianfeng said with a smile. There was a hint of ambiguity in his tone. The corners of Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched and she forced a smile. Is that so? Young Master Mu, you also think it's funny? Yes, I've never heard of jokes before. However, shouldn't the bride that Miss Yun'er mentioned be happy? There are very few people who can save this kind of savings for 30 years. After Mu Lianfeng finished speaking, the smile on Zhao Yun'er's lips froze. How should she answer this question? A 30-year-old virgin man, whether it was in the ancient times or the 21st century, seemed to be relatively rare. One had to know that in ancient times, people could usually get married in their teens. At most, they would not survive past their 20s. Mu Lianfeng in ancient times was definitely a golden leftover man. Zhao Yun'er laughed awkwardly. Yes, you should be happy. After all, it's not easy to find a virgin man. Young Master Mu, have you also accumulated savings for more than 20 years? Have you spent it? Zhao Yun'er was originally just curious, but she did not expect to ask involuntarily. The moment she blurted it out, Zhao Yun'er wanted to find a hole to hide in. What kind of questions was she asking? In the 21st century, she often joked with her male colleagues and did not have so many scruples. However, she was facing Mu Lianfeng now, not her colleagues. Mu Lianfeng was slightly stunned at first, then his eyes darkened. His expression was a little sad, as if he had thought of something unhappy. Seeing Mu Lianfeng's reaction, Zhao Yun'er roughly guessed that Mu Lianfeng's first time was probably gone. Zhao Yun'er did not know why she felt a little disappointed. Perhaps it was because she had some feelings for Mu Lianfeng, and she hoped that the other half she found in the future would not have sex with other women. Men and women might have some private parts. Thinking about it, it was normal for Mu Lianfeng to lose his first time at such an age and with such an identity. Even if they weren't married, those who were young and energetic would more or less have some physical needs. Mu Lianfeng suddenly asked, Miss Yun'er, do you care if a man is a virgin? Zhao Yun'er did not understand why Mu Lianfeng suddenly asked her this question. Should he ask her if she didn't care or not? Based on her answer, he could roughly guess that women generally didn't care. Mu Lianfeng stared at Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er felt like she was being interrogated. Why did this guy want to know the answer to this question? I do care a little, but it doesn't mean that other women care. After all, it's normal for men to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Zhao Yun'er said. In this society where men were superior to women, the social status of women was very low. Not to mention the extravagant hope that a man's first time was given to her, it was not easy for her not to share her man with other women. So Miss Yun'er cares. Mu Lianfeng murmured, looking a little sad. Sigh. Mu Lianfeng sighed softly and looked at the courtyard. If there was no accident, then he would be a virgin now. Unfortunately. Chapter 277. Even if he didn't want to admit it, or rather, he didn't want that incident to happen, but it still happened. Thinking about what happened that night, Mu Lianfeng's forehead hurt. He tried hard to remember, but he didn't know why a woman suddenly came that night. The only thing he remembered was that there was a small red lotus mark on her chest. It was beautiful and charming. He didn't know who this woman was and where she was now. He wasn't an irresponsible person. If he found her, he would definitely give her an explanation. Mu Lianfeng accompanied her to cook dinner. Zhao Yun'er was afraid that Mu Lianfeng would be bored to death by himself, so she didn't let him lie down and rest. Dinner was as sumptuous as ever because of the meat sent by Zhao Wenxing. In addition to the braised pork, Zhao Yun'er also cut some meat and made meatballs. The meat was minced and chopped together. She added some ginger and stuffed with some chopped green onions. The meatballs were made into meatballs and cooked with cabbage. The taste was not bad. Daodu held the bowl and ate, and secretly stuffed some meat into Little Black's mouth. Little Black was a dog, so he naturally liked to eat meat. The pork skin was quickly swallowed into his stomach. However, he was still a little puppy. His soft teeth couldn't bite the bones. He ate the meat skin happily. Zhao Yun'er also saw Daodu secretly stuffing food into the dog's mouth, but she didn't expose Daodu. This child would rather eat less than she wanted to share with Little Black. She was really sharing blessings with Little Black. Mother? Daodu ate and raised his head to look at Zhao Yun'er. What's wrong? Little Black eats meat. Does Little Mao eat meat? Little Mao doesn't eat meat. Zhao Yun'er shook her head. Donkeys ate grass just like cows, sheep and horses. Oh. Daodu lowered his head as if he still didn't believe it. He liked both Little Mao and Little Black. Why couldn't he give meat to Little Black and not Little Mao? The two of them couldn't be treated differently. Daodu quickly finished the rice in his bowl, wiped his mouth with his little hand and said to Zhao Yun'er, Mother, I'm done. Why did you eat so quickly today? Is Mother's cooking not good? Zhao Yun'er was a little curious. It's delicious, but Mother, Daodu is really full. Okay, as long as you're full. Mother, I'll go see Little Mao. Daodu said. Zhao Yun'er's lips curled up. Okay, you can go. Daodu didn't dare to look her in the eyes. Zhao Yun'er is curious, what is Daodu going to do? Therefore, when Daodu's to Daodu want to go? Dao Du went to the wooden shed and opened his palm to Little Mao. There was a piece of red braised pork in his palm. Little Mao, look, this is meat. It's very fragrant. My mother made it. Do you want to eat it? Dao Du's serious and silly look almost melted Zhao Yun'er's heart. This silly child, how could a donkey eat meat? Although she wanted to share it with Little Mao, she could not believe what she said. What made Zhao Yun'er's jaw drop was that Little Mao sniffed the red braised pork in Dao Du's palm, and actually stuck out its tongue, gently rolled it up, and put it into its mouth, chewing for a while. After eating the red braised pork, Little Mao still wanted more. It rubbed against Dao Du's hand, looking for more in Dao Du's palm. Chapter 278. Furry seemed to understand. After barking twice, it stopped rubbing against Dao Du's little hand. Zhao Yun'er blinked her eyes, thinking that this Xiao Mao is definitely a spirit. How could a donkey that ate meat understand human language? On second thought, he had spent less than 2 taels of silver to buy such an intelligent donkey. It was quite a good deal. Zhao Yun'er turned around and was about to go back to the house when Mu Lianfeng quietly followed her. Moreover, it was so quiet that she didn't notice it at all. So this time she bumped into Mu Lianfeng. Mu Lianfeng gasped in pain. Zhao Yun'er quickly asked, "Young Master Mu, how are you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Mu Lianfeng endured the pain and gasped. "Oh, I think I'm bleeding." Zhao Yun'er smelled a faint scent of blood. Although it wasn't strong, she could still smell it. "Is that so?" Mu Lianfeng frowned slightly. He didn't expect the situation to be so serious. "Let's go. Hurry into the house." "I'll take care of it for you," Zhao Yun'er said a little nervously. Mu Lianfeng nodded. "Okay, let's go in then." The two of them entered the house together. Zhao Yun'er brought over a basin of hot water. First, she removed the white cloth from Mu Lianfeng's wound. The wound that had already scabbed over had a small gash because she bumped into it and it was bleeding. Zhao Yun'er quickly wiped it with a hot towel. Then she put on a new bandage and used the white cloth to bandage Mu Lianfeng's wound again. After busying herself for a while, she concentrated so much that her body felt a little hot and a layer of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. No matter what, she had to take a good bath today. Because of Mu Lianfeng, Zhao Yun'er hadn't bathed much during this period of time. After all, it was only one room and it was inconvenient. Today she was drenched in feces and sweated so much. If she didn't take a bath, her body would probably stink. Zhao Yun'er's body was steaming hot, so she pulled at her clothes. She wanted to disperse the rising heat. Mu Lianfeng's gaze followed Zhao Yun'er's movements. He saw that the clothes in front of her chest were loosened, and he could vaguely see the snowy white inside. And on Zhao Yun'er's chest, a red flower the size of a flower. Mu Lianfeng's his heart tightened. A little bit. Unfortunately, Zhao Yun'er's clothes was still blocked. Mu Lianfeng sat up a little, wanting to see more clearly. He felt that there might be a red lotus mark on Zhao Yun'er's chest. If it was true, then wouldn't Zhao Yun'er be the woman who had sex with him that night? "Alright, young Master Mu, your wound is bandaged. Don't move around anymore. I'll be careful not to touch you. If you get hurt again, it'll be serious," Zhao Yun'er said. After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, she raised her head and saw Mu Lianfeng's gaze on her chest. She lowered her head and realized that the clothes on her chest were too loose, and her snow-white chest could be seen. After being stunned for a second, Zhao Yun'er quickly covered her chest and tidied up her clothes. Young Master Mu, where are you looking at?" This Mu Lianfeng looked so serious. Could he be a pervert? Chapter 279. He couldn't possibly say that he wanted to see what was on Zhao Yun'er's chest, right? I wasn't looking there. Mu Lianfeng originally wanted to ask what kind of mark was on Zhao Yun'er's chest, but in the end he didn't ask. If he asked, wouldn't he be admitting that he was staring at Zhao Yun'er's chest just now? It seemed that he had to take another look and confirm it when he had the chance. He couldn't be sure of it. Of course, he wasn't sure if his eyes were playing tricks on him or if he was thinking too much. Because he thought about it today, he felt that he saw something on Zhao Yun'er's chest. "Then I'll go out first. Young Master Mu, I'm going to take a shower later. Can you stay in the kitchen for a while?" Zhao Yun'er asked. "Sure." Mu Lianfeng nodded. Zhao Yun'er hurriedly covered her chest and ran out. Now she suddenly felt a sense of danger from Mu Lianfeng. After all, he looked like a gentleman, but in reality, there were many people who were beasts in human clothing. Mu Lianfeng didn't look like that kind of person, but who knew if he was? It was always good for her to be on guard now. What Zhao Yun'er was more worried about was that she was still sleeping in the same bed as Mu Lianfeng at night. If he made a move on her, it would be really easy. Zhao Yun'er first went to boil some hot water, then gave Dao Du a bath. Finally, she prepared to take a bath herself. Mu Lianfeng also consciously left the room and went to the kitchen. He moved the room out for Zhao Yun to take a bath. Zhao Yun poured the hot water into the wooden basin, added some cold water, and tested the temperature of the water. Then she put the locust aside and closed the door. After confirming that it was safe, she began to take off her clothes. The clothes that were soaked in sweat and stained with the smell of feces were a little smelly. After she took a bath, she had to go to the river and wash her clothes clean. After finally taking a hot bath, Zhao Yun'er felt a lot more comfortable. Soaking in the steaming hot bathtub, his pores were all opened. Squinting his eyes, he couldn't wait to lie down and sleep. Unfortunately, she was not allowed to do so. She had to hurry up and wash up in case Mu Lianfeng waited outside for too long. Mu Lianfeng listened to Zhao Yun'er and went to the kitchen. But in the evening, a lot of mosquitoes flew out. He still had the smell of blood on him, which attracted mosquitoes even more. After a while, many mosquitoes flew over to bite him. His body itched badly, so Mu Lianfeng came out of the kitchen. Standing in the courtyard, he could clearly hear the sound of water splashing when Zhao Yun'er was bathing. A thought suddenly popped into Mu Lianfeng's mind. Zhao Yun'er was taking a bath now, which meant that she must have taken off her clothes. If he took a look, he might be able to see if there was a lotus mark on Zhao Yun'er's chest. Compared to the strong floral fragrance of ordinary women, he liked the locust fragrance on Zhao Yun'er after her bath very much. Zhao Yun'er finished washing the clothes. The sky gradually darkened. Besides bathing, the water in the house was almost out. Zhao Yun'er prepared to carry a bucket of water with her other hand. Chapter 281. Zhao Yun'er turned around and found that it was Zhao Qianhu. Zhao Yun'er was a little curious. It was so late, how did she know that Zhao Qianhu was still hanging out outside? Shouldn't he be at old Zhao's house? After all, Zhao Tianlong and his fifth uncle had returned. Old Zhao's house should be lively at this time. Xuanhuan would definitely take out good things to entertain them. Therefore, it was not reasonable for Zhao Qianhu to be outside at this time. Second cousin, why are you still here at this time? Zhao Yun'er asked. I just came out for a stroll, Zhao Qianhu said. There was some hidden emotions in his eyes. Zhao Yun'er still caught the disappointment in Zhao Qianhu's eyes. In a bad mood? What was the reason? Zhao Yun'er was curious, but Zhao Qianhu didn't want to say, so she didn't ask. Zhao Qianhu was taller than Zhao Yun'er. His arms were longer than Zhao Yun'er, and his strength was greater than Zhao Yun'er. Therefore, it was effortless for him to carry a bucket of water from the river. Second cousin, thank you, Zhao Yun'er thanked him. When he wanted to reach out and take the wooden bucket in Zhao Yun'er's hand, Zhao Qianhu said, I'll help you send it back. It's a little heavy. Cousin Yun'er, if you need to do this kind of work in the future, just call me. Zhao Qianhu was kind, but Zhao Yun'er still didn't expect that her second cousin would become so good. In other words, she didn't have much contact with Zhao Qianhu in the past, so she didn't know how good Zhao Qianhu was. Zhao Yun'er didn't refuse Zhao Qianhu's kindness and let Zhao Qianhu help her send the water back. Second cousin, thank you. When Zhao Yun'er saw that it was getting late, she reminded Zhao Qianhu, second cousin, it's getting late. You should hurry back as well. Otherwise, when it's dark and you can't see the road clearly, it's easy to fall. All right. Zhao Qianhu responded. When he was about to turn and leave, he suddenly stopped and turned back to Zhao Yun'er. Cousin Yun'er, you'd better distance yourself from our old Zhao family. Don't let them trap you. After Zhao Qianhu finished speaking, he left. Zhao Yun'er did not even have time to ask Zhao Qianhu why he said such a sentence. The next day, Zhao Yun'er drove the donkey to deliver Bullfrog and returned from Yang City. Now that they had bought a little donkey, they didn't have to wake up so early in the morning and spent less time on the road. Overall, it was very convenient. This time, they delivered a total of 97 caddies of Bullfrog. She got 7 caddies for herself and 90 caddies for Aunt Lu. The total was 2 taels and 80 copper coins. Her share was 2 taels and 180 copper coins. However, because she bought the donkey, she didn't give the money to Aunt Lu last time. This time, she gave Aunt Lu 1.5 taels of silver. When Aunt Lu received the money, she really couldn't believe it. She originally had some doubts about whether Zhao Yun'er could really sell it for so much money. Now she completely believed it. Yun'er girl, this money is a little too much, Aunt Lu sighed. At this rate, she would be able to save a lot of money in a few days. After saving for 3 or 4 days, wouldn't she be able to treat her husband's illness? It's a lot, but it wasn't a lot originally. Thanks to Brother Shanzi, we can all earn more, Zhao Yun'er said with a smile. Chapter 282. At this rate, she would be able to save up a sum of money very quickly. Our family should thank you. Without you, Shanzi's father's illness could not be cured. Now that he's fine, we don't have to worry too much. Aunt Lu's heart was finally relieved. Zhao Yun'er was about to say that she should go back when Aunt Lu said, Yun'er, I'm going to your grandparents' place to drink wine later. Do you want to come with me? Zhao Yun'er shook her head. She was going to bring Daodu with her, but there was still Mu Lianfeng at home. She had to cook something for him to eat before she could go to old Zhao's place with Daodu. Otherwise Mu Lianfeng would be hungry. Because Mu Lianfeng was eating alone at noon, Zhao Yun'er made a simple meal. She made a plate of braised fish and a plate of vegetables. When she brought Daodu to old Zhao's house, there were already many people gathered in the courtyard of old Zhao's house. They were all here to drink wine. The total number of people in the village was estimated to be able to sit at 5 or 6 tables. The person who came to help old Zhao's house cook was a woman in her early 50s. When the villagers held banquets, they would usually invite women who specialized in cooking. Some of them would directly pay, while some of them would bring back some leftover meat dishes after the banquet was over. After all, holding a banquet was considered a big event. If the dishes were not delicious and the guests were not satisfied, the host would inevitably lose face. Although Xuanhuan was reluctant, this was the only time. He gritted his teeth and invited someone over. After all, none of his wives were tasty. When Zhao Yun'er went over, she was not arranged to sit at the table. Basically, the women who came over to drink wine from other families were not at the table in old Zhao's house. Before she came, she did not expect such a situation. Originally, she did not want to come, but when she saw that Zhao Baoshan specially called her, she could not refuse. After all, it was Zhao Tianlong's happy occasion. Zhao Tianlong and Xinpan did not offend her in any way and treated her well. After thinking about it, she came over. Mother, father asked me to call Yun'er over to drink wine. Should we arrange for her to sit at the table? Liang Jinxiao asked Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan, who was busy in the kitchen, replied unhappily, why should she sit at the table? When the guests are at the table, all the men in the house are not at the table. Why don't you let her wait in the kitchen? When there are leftovers, can't you just make something to eat? Mother, how can we? Why not? Did your father ask her to sit at the table to eat? Why don't you know the rules at all? You're already so old. Do you still need me to tell you why? Xuanhuan glared at Liang Jinxiao. Liang Jinxiao did not refute. After all, there were no women at the table in the house. Xuanhuan was not just targeting Zhao Yun'er. However, it did not seem good to let Zhao Yun'er come to the kitchen to eat leftovers, right? Liang Jinxiao came out of the kitchen and said to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, your grandmother asked you to bring Daodu to the kitchen to eat. The guests are sitting at the table. Without Liang Jinxiao's explanation, Zhao Yun'er understood what he meant. He did not want her to sit at the table. Chapter 283. Mother, forget it. I'll go back and cook something for myself. I'll eat better. I can only eat the leftovers here. Zhao Yun'er said. Liang Jinxiao sighed and tried to persuade Zhao Yun'er again. Yun'er, it'll be troublesome for you to go back and cook. Daodu must be hungry too. It's not leftovers, it's just the leftovers. They haven't touched their chopsticks yet. There's a lot of meat today and it's all good food. You can stay here and eat. You can at least have a good meal. Your grandfather specially asked you to come over. If you go back without eating, your grandfather will probably be unhappy. Mother, it's not about leftovers. Since he asked me to come over, I'm equivalent to a guest. If a guest can eat at the table, why can't I? Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao's words fell into Xuanhua's ears. Xuanhua didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to say that. She sneered, who do you think you are? It's good enough to give you leftovers. Do you really think you're a guest? Guests come over and give money as gifts. Did you give them anything? If you don't want to eat, then don't eat. Hurry up and go back. Zhao Yun'er sneered. Old Zhao's family still had the nerve to mention gifts to her. They sold her for 200 taels of silver. Without these 200 taels of silver, Zhao Tianlong wouldn't have the money to study. They probably wouldn't have the chance to hold today's banquet. She didn't want to give any gifts and still wanted to eat at the table. She felt at ease. After all, it was old Zhao's family who owed her. Before Zhao Yun'er could say anything, Zhao Xinhui walked out of the house dressed to the nines. The dress she was wearing was the one she had bought from Xuanhuan when she went to Yang City with Xuanhuan. It was a pink dress and the style and color were quite pretty. It was not as good as what the ladies in Yang City wore, but it was definitely eye-catching in the countryside. After all, girls usually wore dark-colored clothes made of coarse cloth. Her face was covered with a thick layer of foundation and rouge, and she even put on the few pieces of jewelry that she had taken yesterday. Zhao Xinhui was beautiful to begin with. Now that she was dressed like this, she did not look like a country bumpkin. However, in Zhao Yun'er's eyes, Zhao Xinhui had an indescribable tackiness. Sometimes, a person's aura wasn't something that could be emitted through clothing or jewelry. Instead, it was something that was naturally emitted. No matter how well Zhao Xinhui dressed, she didn't look beautiful. In terms of temperament, Mu Lianfeng was more elegant. Even though he was wearing tattered clothes, he still looked very handsome. He had an indescribable aura and a sense of nobility. Zhao Yun'er's gaze landed on Zhao Xinhui's jewelry. Based on old Zhao's family's financial status, how could they have the money to buy such jewelry? Zhao Yun'er frowned slightly. She had a bad feeling. Zhao Xinhui hopped in front of old Madame Zhao. "Mother, do you think I look good today?" Xuanhuan glanced at her and smiled. "You look good, you look good. Of course my Huya looks good." The attention from the people around her made Zhao Xinhui feel very happy. Since people were looking at her, it meant that she was the center of attention here. She dressed so well that others were stunned. "Mother, I'm hungry," Zhao Xinhui said again. Why don't you wait in the kitchen? Or go inside the house and I'll bring you the leftovers when I have them." Chapter 284. If she went to the kitchen to eat, first of all, she would be eating leftovers. She didn't want to eat them. Second of all, she was so pretty. She had to go up on the table to show others. She didn't want to waste her efforts today. Since she was dressed up beautifully, she should show others. Before xuanhuan could persuade her, Zhao Xinhui pouted. Seeing that Zhao Xinhui was unhappy, xuanhuan quickly said, Okay. Come to the table. Come to the table and eat, okay?" Zhao Xinhui then revealed a satisfied smile. "Okay, mother. I know you treat me the best." Seeing old Madame Zhao's completely different attitude, Zhao Yun'er was a little angry. She didn't want to eat this meal, but Xuanhuan's attitude and actions made her very unhappy. "Grandma, isn't this table for the guests? Why is Andy sitting here too? If others see, they'll think that old Zhao's family doesn't know the rules." "Zhao Yun'er, you're such a busybody. I can sit wherever I want. Do you think I'm like you? You've done so many shameful things and can't be seen in public." Zhao Xinhui mocked and ridiculed Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er hated it the most when people kept talking about her pregnancy before marriage. If it was really her doing, then so be it. However, it was clearly old Zhao's family who sold her. They took the money, but she still had to bear the family's infamy. How could this be? Zhao Yun'er walked in front of Zhao Xinhui and slapped Zhao Xinhui's face. Since she didn't know how to speak, then she would teach her well and let her know how to speak. Slap. A loud sound was heard. Zhao Xinhui felt a burning pain on her face. She didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to slap her. "How dare you hit me? So what if I hit you? You don't know how to talk. If your parents don't teach you a lesson, of course I have to teach you a lesson. You bitch. Father, mother, hurry up and beat her to death. Do you think she's talking like a human?" Zhao Xinhui roared with a ferocious expression. When Zhao Yun'er slapped Zhao Xinhui, she didn't know how many layers of powder had fallen off her face. Looking at her now, Zhao Xinhui no longer had any sense of beauty. She looked more like a monster. "*tch? Zhao Yun'er snorted. "Don't you know how to talk?" When Zhao Xinhui was caught off guard, Zhao Yun'er twisted her arm again. Zhao Xinhui screamed. "Hurry up and let go of me. What if you ruin my clothes? Can you afford to pay for it? And my jewelry?" Zhao Xinhui's heart ached more for her clothes and jewelry. She was afraid that Zhao Yun'er would ruin her things. Zhao Yun'er's gaze fell on Zhao Xinhui's bracelet again. She reached over with her other hand and removed the bracelet from Zhao Xinhui's wrist. Then with a gentle push, Zhao Xinhui was pushed out. Zhao Xinhui panicked when she saw the bracelet in Zhao Yun'er's hand. She shouted at Zhao Yun'er, "Hurry up and return the bracelet to me." "Return it to you?" Zhao Yun'er's lips curled into a cold smile. Just as the few of them were making a fuss, the noise attracted the attention of others in the courtyard. Many people started to gather around them. It was good that there were more people. She wanted to expose old Zhao's family in front of everyone. Chapter 285. Xuanhuan didn't dare to make a move because she knew that she couldn't beat Zhao Yun'er. "Snatch her things? Did I snatch her things?" Zhao Yun'er asked in return. She wasn't a fool. How could old Zhao's family afford such a gold bracelet? In addition to the other jewelry on Zhao Xinhui's body, It was more than 200 taels of silver. It seemed that after she left yesterday, young Master Meng's things weren't sent back, but were kept by xuanhuan. Zhao Yun couldn't help but be angry when she thought of this. How greedy was this old Zhao's family? They actually kept young Master Meng's things behind her back. After being questioned by Zhao Yun, xuanhuan lost her confidence for a moment. This, grandmother, this was given by young Master Meng yesterday, right? Can you explain to me what's going on? Zhao Yun stared coldly at xuanhuan. That gaze seemed to be able to eat people. Xuanhuan was so scared that she shivered. After all, she was a little guilty. Before Xuanhuan could answer, Zhao Xinhui suddenly became anxious. She rushed up and wanted to snatch the bracelet from Zhao Yun'er's hands. If this little slut knew that the bracelet belonged to young Master Meng, she definitely wouldn't give it to her. Zhao Yun'er moved her body slightly and let her pass. This caused Zhao Xinhui to stagger and almost fall. What, you still want to snatch it from me? Xuanhuan forced a smile and said softly to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er girl, young Master Meng's things are expensive. There are so many good things. Why did you reject him? Grandmother was afraid that you would regret it in the future, so she took it for you first. Zhao Yun'er sneered. It was true. She said mockingly, Grandma, since you said that, should I thank you? Yun'er, I didn't mean it that way, but it's really for your own good. Think about it, with so much money, you and Daodu won't have to live a hard life anymore. In the future, our family will use this money to build a big house. You and Daodu can move here too. We can live together and take care of each other, Xuanhuan said with a gentle smile, trying her best to please Zhao Yun'er. Now, Xuanhuan suddenly regretted not letting Zhao Yun'er eat at the table. Now, so many things had happened. Zhao Yun'er gleaned a lot of information from Xuanhuan's words. This old woman was really thick-skinned. She even wanted to take her money and use it with the entire old Zhao family. Building a house? Haha, she even said that. She used young Master Meng's money to let the entire old Zhao family live a comfortable life, and then pretended to be magnanimous and accept her and Daodu to live together. Her wishful thinking was not bad. Grandma, since you helped me keep this money first, hand it over to me now. My things are naturally kept by me. Zhao Yun'er said. She put her hands on her hips and asked Xuanhuan to hand over the money. Xuanhuan originally wanted to keep it for herself. If Zhao Yun'er wanted it back, wouldn't it be equivalent to making her heart bleed? Yun'er, it's not safe to give so much money to you. Grandma will keep it for you. It's easy for thieves to enter your house. Xuanhuan's mouth twitched and she said with an ugly smile. Whether it's safe or not is my business. You just have to return it to me. Chapter 286. Since she couldn't persuade Zhao Yun'er, she could only use force with Zhao Yun'er. Xuanhuan's words were a little harsh, thinking that this would make Zhao Yun'er obedient. Grandmother, you also said that this is the rule of old Zhao's family, but now that I've moved out, whether it's the place where I live or the household register, it has nothing to do with old Zhao's family. Why do I still need you to take care of my things now? Zhao Yun'er sneered and questioned. Even if you've moved out, you're still a member of old Zhao's family, so your things have to be taken care of by me. Enough, don't be so shameless. The villagers are all watching. Don't you have the nerve to say this? When you chased Daodu and I out, why didn't you think that we're old Zhao's family? Anyway, now that I've set up a female household, no matter what, I have nothing to do with old Zhao's family. Don't come over to curry favor with me just because I have something good. It could be said that Zhao Yun'er mercilessly exposed Xuanhuan. In front of everyone, she didn't give Xuanhuan any face at all. After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, she hurriedly used public opinion to create momentum. She called out to the onlookers who came over to watch and said to these people, Uncles and aunties, come over and judge for me. Someone sent me a lot of things. We've already moved out, but my grandmother still wants to take my things. With Zhao Yun'er's shout, more and more people came over to join in the fun. Everyone was talking about it, and Zhao Yun'er didn't avoid the topic and told them everything. Many people saw young Master Meng's people driving the carriage to deliver things, so they naturally believed Zhao Yun'er's words. Many people began to criticize. She's already a grandmother. She can't be like this. Since they've separated from the family and Yun'er has established a separate female household, then her things must be kept by herself. That's right. I think Xuanhuan just wants to pocket her granddaughter's things. That's right. It sounds nice to say that we're a family now. Back then Yun'er was working hard to raise the child alone, but she didn't do anything to help. She even chased Yun'er out. Although the villagers were chattering softly, their words still fell into Xuanhua's ears. No matter how thick-skinned Xuanhuan was, she still needed to maintain her dignity in front of so many people in the village. Aunt Lu also stood out and directly spoke up for Zhao Yuner. I say, Yuner's grandmother, you have to return Yuner's things to her. Otherwise, how can you justify it? If Yuner is willing to let you keep it, then you can have it. If she's not willing to give it to you, then do you want to keep it for yourself? Xuanhuan replied with a red face, who wants to keep the girl's things? Aren't they also old Zhao's things? You're wrong. Yuner isn't considered a member of old Zhao's family now. When did an outsider like you get to meddle in our old Zhao's affairs? Xuanhuan said with some displeasure. Anyway, it wasn't a big deal. She couldn't bear to give so much money to Zhao Yuner. No matter what, she had to keep it by her side. Xuanhuan's attitude made the other villagers a little uncomfortable. It's not for us outsiders to meddle in this. We're just being reasonable. What you're doing is wrong. That's right, that's right. Even if you want to bully others, you can't bully them like this. Yuner is really a pitiful child. Chapter 287. That's right. Let's find Li Zheng and see what else she has to say. Li Zheng, Lu Fugui was also walking over when they were talking about him. Zhao Baoshan personally went to pick up Lu Fugui. The two of them walked one after the other and arrived at old Zhao's courtyard. As soon as they arrived, they heard that they were looking for Li Zheng. Lu Fugui thought that something had happened, so he walked over to ask about the situation. Zhao Yun didn't even need to explain. These villagers who couldn't stand it had already helped Zhao Yun explain the situation. Lu Fugui heard and said, this matter is indeed Yuner's grandmother's fault. Back then, when Yuner separated from the household, it was your old Zhao's family who personally suggested it. Since it has been separated, no matter what it is, it should be returned to its owner. Yuner's things also have to be returned to her. Xuanhuan was extremely unwilling, but since Lu Fugui said so, she couldn't offend Li Zheng. Zhao Baoshan also heard the situation from the side and his face darkened. Old woman, I didn't know about this matter. You actually helped Yun accept the things that others sent over. I say, why are you so greedy? How can you accept other people's things so casually? Now, no matter what, hurry up and return the things to Yun. Forced by Lu Fugui and Zhao Baoshan, Xuanhuan had no choice but to say, yes, yes, yes. Return them to Yun, okay? Aren't I helping her keep them? Xuanhuan's voice gradually became softer, and her mouth was murmuring something. Zhao Yun added in front of everyone, Grandmother, although I don't know what young Master Meng sent over, I will return it to him later. If he says that something is missing, then it must be you who kept it. I hope you don't play any tricks. Xuanhuan's thoughts were immediately guessed by Zhao Yun, which made her even angrier. This little B***tch was becoming more and more annoying. I know. Who's missing anything from you? Seriously? That's good. Zhao Yun's lips curled into a smile. Alright, everyone sit down. The banquet will start soon. Zhao Baoshan hurriedly called out. He didn't want to affect the festive atmosphere today. Seeing that the matter was over, the villagers returned to their seats. Zhao Xinhui was still unwilling to give up. He walked up to Zhao Yun and said, Zhao Yun, give me back my bracelet. Auntie, did you make a mistake? This belongs to me. Why should I return it to you? My mother said it's mine, so it's mine. Are you going to give it to me or not? Of course not. Zhao Yun put her hands on her waist, looking like she was saying, come and snatch it if you have the ability. Xuanhuan hurriedly said, alright, don't ask for it. Zhao Xinhui stomped her feet angrily, Mother, I like that bracelet. She said it's for me, alright. If our family has money in the future, we'll buy it for you, alright? Zhao Xinhui didn't believe it in her heart. She also knew that Xuanhuan wouldn't help her get it back this time. No matter how unwilling she was, there was nothing she could do. Zhao Xinhui was about to turn around and sit down at the table when Zhao Yun stopped her. Auntie, you forgot to return something to me. Although Zhao Yun had a smile on her face, it made people feel a cold aura. Chapter 288. There was a hint of coldness in Zhao Yun's eyes. Auntie, do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? What are you trying to say? Zhao Xinhui glared at Zhao Yun angrily. Since Auntie doesn't know, then I won't waste my breath. Zhao Yun pulled Zhao Xinhui over and removed the necklace and hairpin from her body. Zhao Xinhui exploded when she saw that Zhao Yun had taken away her last two precious pieces of jewelry. Give them back to me. Give them back to me. Give them back to me. Zhao Xinhui suddenly screamed crazily. What do you mean give them back to you? These are mine. Zhao Yun smiled and completely ignored Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Yun put away the 3 pieces of jewelry and held Daodu's hand. Daodu, let's go. Let's not attend this wedding banquet. Mother will make something better for you when we go back. Daodu smelled the fragrance in the kitchen and couldn't help but lick the corner of his mouth. But after glancing at Zhao Yun, he nodded obediently. Okay, mother. Daodu will go back and eat with you. Zhao Yun, I won't let you off. Zhao Xinhui said and rushed into the house angrily. Zhao Baoshan and Zhao Yun's uncle Zhao Wenshi came forward to persuade Zhao Yun when they saw that she was about to leave. Yun, alas, why don't you stay for the wedding banquet? Today is a good day. Don't be so unhappy as a family, Zhao Baoshan said. Yun, give your uncle some face and stay for the meal. Your eldest cousin brother is all thanks to you. Zhao Wenshi said. It was likely that Zhao Baoshan had already told Zhao Yun what Zhao Yun knew. Zhao Yun didn't know if the 2 of them were doing this out of guilt or because they wanted to please her. They were afraid that she would tell others about what they had done. No, we'll be eating leftovers if we stay. Although my family is poor, we're not that poor. I'll leave with Daodu first. Later, Grandpa, remember to remind Grandma to send the things to me after the banquet. Zhao Yun left this sentence and pulled Daodu out of old Zhao's courtyard. For some people, there was no need for her to give them any face. When they returned, Mu Lianfeng had just finished eating. However, he didn't seem to have much of an appetite for eating alone. He only ate a small piece of the braised fish and didn't eat much of the vegetables. Seeing that Zhao Yun and Daodu had returned, Mu Lianfeng asked, Yun, have you and Daodu finished eating so quickly? No, we haven't eaten. However, we didn't eat and came back with a stomach full of anger. Zhao Yun was still angry when she thought about it. Other than xuanhuan and the others, there were also her parents' things. It was fine if xuanhuan didn't say anything about accepting young Master Meng's things. After all, she wanted to keep them for herself. However, her parents didn't tell her about such an important matter. If she hadn't discovered it today, would she still be in the dark? These 2 people shouldn't trick their daughter like this, right? Didn't they think of the consequences? After accepting young Master Meng's things, did they really think that such a person was easy to deal with? Mu Lianfeng saw Zhao Yun panting with anger for the first time, but he felt that she was even more adorable. Yun, if you're willing, you can talk to me. You don't feel comfortable keeping this anger bottled up in your heart, right? At the same time, Mu Lianfeng handed Zhao Yun a cup of water. Zhao Yun took it and drank it. Chapter 289. Zhao Yun then explained the situation to Mu Lianfeng. Although she didn't mention much, Mu Lianfeng understood the situation. After listening to Zhao Yun's story, Mu Lianfeng felt that Zhao Yun and Daodu's life were too hard. The Zhao family was obviously bullying Zhao Yun, and he was more worried about the Lord Meng that Zhao Yun mentioned. He only hoped that Lord Meng wouldn't cause trouble for Zhao Yun. Otherwise, the heir mansion had many ways to deal with him. Miss Yun, you're still young. If it's possible, you can remarry and find a man to rely on. Mu Lianfeng wanted to say that she could try to consider him. He was rich and powerful and no one dared to offend him. If she married him and had his protection, no one would dare to do anything to her in Yang City, not to mention the entire Dezhou country. It depends on who I rely on. Ordinary men are unreliable. Lord Meng isn't an ordinary man. He has to be at least a member of the royal family. Lord Mu, do you think I'm that lucky? Actually, you can consider me, Mu Lianfeng said as if he was joking. This was the second time that Mu Lianfeng had hinted like this. Zhao Yun couldn't help but wonder if this man was really interested in her. When Zhao Yun was silent, Zhao Xinhui's voice came from outside the house. *tch come out. I'll teach you a lesson. If you know what's good for you, give me back my things. Zhao Yun frowned. Why was it this woman again? She was like a dog skin plaster and she couldn't get rid of her no matter how hard she tried. She thought that Zhao Xinhui had become obedient, but she didn't expect that she would follow her to her house. Different situations call for different measures. Zhao Yun was not afraid of Zhao Xinhui. She wanted to see what kind of tricks Zhao Xinhui would use later. Daodu, stay in the house. Don't go out, okay? Zhao Yun was afraid that Zhao Xinhui would hurt Zhao Yun. I know, mother. You have to be careful too. Fanny bullies you, just shout. Daodu and father will come to save you. Daodu reminded her seriously. Zhao Yun scratched Daodu's little nose and smiled at Daodu. Daodu. Here, sir, at least wait until he was a little older. Zhao Yun walked out of the house. She didn't want to go out and talk to Zhao Xinhui, but she was afraid that this woman would break into her house if she didn't come out. Then she might find Mu Lianfeng. I said it's mine. Why are you asking for it? Didn't you understand what I said before? Don't tell me you don't understand human language? Do you need me to repeat it? Anyway, you have to give it to me. Young Master Meng gave you so many things. What's the big deal if you give me these? I'm your elder. You have to be filial to me. You're really putting on airs. I haven't even been filial to my parents. It's not your turn. You. It looks like you're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Zhao Xinhui rushed over angrily. Zhao Yuner could deal with someone like Zhao Xinhui with one hand. But what she didn't expect was that when she grabbed Zhao Xinhui's hand, Zhao Xinhui took out her other hand. She was holding a pair of scissors. Chapter 290. Zhao Yuner was caught off guard and Zhao Xinhui's move was too unexpected. Zhao Yuner did not even have a chance to resist. She had really underestimated her aunt. She thought that Zhao Xinhui was just a little bad-tempered, but she would not dare to do such a thing. Now she realized that there was nothing Zhao Xinhui was afraid of. Zhao Xinhui was very pleased with herself when she saw that the scissors were about to cut Zhao Yuner's face. Previously, she had rushed into her house to look for the scissors. Now that her parents were no longer holding her back, she could give Zhao Yuner a good look. Just as the scissors were a few centimeters away from Zhao Yuner's face, a teacup flew out of the house and hit Zhao Xinhui's hand. Zhao Xinhui's hand hurt and she let go of the scissors in her hand. The scissors fell to the ground and Zhao Yuner avoided being stabbed by the scissors. Mu Lianfeng walked out of the house and stood in front of Zhao Yuner. He asked Zhao Yuner with concern, "Yuner, how are you? Are you hurt?" Zhao Yuner shook her head. "I'm fine." Fortunately, Mu Lianfeng had acted in time. If he had not acted in time, her face might have been cut. Zhao Xinhui heard a man's voice and saw a man dressed in black walking out of Zhao Yuner's house. She cursed loudly, "Zhao Yuner, you be asterisk. You're really shameless. How dare you hide a wild man in your house? I'll go tell the villagers now." Zhao Xinhui's tone was filled with schadenfreude. This could be considered to have caught Zhao Yuner's weakness and could be used to deal with Zhao Yuner. Perhaps Zhao Yuner would be afraid and negotiate with her to give her the jewelry. When Zhao Xinhui said this, Zhao Yuner's heart tightened. She had to admit that she was a little scared. Paper couldn't contain fire. After such a long time, Mu Lianfeng was finally discovered. However, when Zhao Xinhui took a closer look at Mu Lianfeng, he was stunned. Mu Lianfeng's handsome face was very familiar. Your Highness?" Zhao Xinhui asked with uncertainty. He rubbed his eyes and looked at it again to make sure that he wasn't seeing things. Other than Mu Lianfeng's rustic clothes, there wasn't much difference in other aspects. Especially his face. Not everyone had such a handsome face. Last time in Yang City, Zhao Xinhui had a deep impression of Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yuner's heart was worried, but Mu Lianfeng's face was indifferent. He lightly said to Zhao Xinhui, "Since you know this Shizi's identity, then why did you say that this Shizi is a wild man?" Although Mu Lianfeng spoke indifferently, his aura was still there. Zhao Xinhui didn't dare to offend him. He hurriedly began to apologize. "Your Highness, it's all my fault. How could you be a wild man? I didn't recognize you just now and thought that Zhao Yuner had brought a wild man home." Zhao Xinhui was curious. Why would Mu Lianfeng be in Zhao Yuner's house? With Mu Lianfeng's identity, it didn't make sense. However, Zhao Xinhui looked at Zhao Yuner with jealousy in his eyes. He began to criticize Zhao Yuner in front of Mu Lianfeng. "Your Highness, you don't know that my niece likes to bring wild men home. Otherwise her belly wouldn't be so big. That's why I misunderstood you." Chapter 291. Zhao Yuner did not intend to let Zhao Xinhui off so easily. Since Zhao Xinhui dared to be so ruthless to her, wouldn't it be too easy for her to let her off so easily? Zhao Yuner walked in front of Zhao Xinhui and slapped both sides of Zhao Xinhui's face a few times. This time she did not show any mercy. Zhao Xinhui's face was swollen and it would probably take at least 10 days to half a month for the swelling to go away. "Ah!" Zhao Xinhui howled like a wolf. Zhao Yuner said coldly, "Shut up. If you shout again I'll cut your face." Zhao Yuner pointed the scissors at Zhao Xinhui. In fact, she was afraid that Zhao Xinhui's voice would be too loud and alert the other villagers. When Zhao Xinhui saw Zhao Yuner pointing the scissors at her, she did not dare to shout anymore. She endured the pain and quickly closed her mouth. The Zhao Xinhui of the past could not bear such grievances. She cried pitifully and looked very aggrieved. Zhao Xinhui looked at Mu Lianfeng for help. She choked and said to Mu Lianfeng, "Your Highness, look. Zhao Yuner is guilty." She saw that I told her the truth and she treated me like this. Your Highness, you have to help me seek justice. As Zhao Xinhui spoke, she even cast a few coquettish glances at Mu Lianfeng, thinking that Mu Lianfeng would take pity on her and help her on account of her good looks. Zhao Yun'er was disgusted by Zhao Xinhui. She was afraid that Zhao Xinhui did not know what her face had become and still thought that she was as beautiful as a flower. She looked at Mu Lianfeng sympathetically. She did not know how Mu Lianfeng felt when he met Zhao Xinhui's eyes. Mu Lianfeng's reaction was normal. He raised the corner of his mouth and said to Zhao Yun'er, Miss Yun'er, I think that you were a little too gentle. Your sister-in-law doesn't seem to know what's good for her. I've never hit women, so there's no harm in helping you teach her a lesson this time. Zhao Xinhui looked at Mu Lianfeng in horror. She did not expect Mu Lianfeng to do this. Your Highness, I beg you, let me go. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. Let me go. The speed at which Zhao Xinhui admitted defeat was really fast. Mu Lianfeng raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said to Zhao Xinhui in a condescending manner, Since you don't want me to do it myself, you can do it yourself. It's impossible for me to let you go just like that. After all, everyone has to be responsible for their own mistakes. Don't you think so? Mu Lianfeng spoke casually, but there was a tone in his voice that brooked no refusal. Zhao Yun'er only noticed Mu Lianfeng's imposing manner at this moment. This man in front of her was as tall and straight as a mountain. The sunlight fell on his body, as if he was covered with a layer of holy light. Zhao Yun'er had never been protected by a man like this before. This feeling was indescribably wonderful. Zhao Xinhui glanced at Mu Lianfeng. Okay. Your Highness, I'll slap myself a few times. Zhao Xinhui slapped her own face. Slap, slap, slap. Isn't it a little too light? I can't hear anything. Mu Lianfeng said calmly. Zhao Yun'er was almost amused by Mu Lianfeng. It was so loud, but he said that he couldn't hear anything. It was obvious that he was making fun of Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Xinhui hurriedly slapped herself a few more times. Her swollen face became even more swollen. This time some blood flowed out of her mouth. Seeing that it was about time, Mu Lianfeng asked Zhao Xinhui to stop. Chapter 292. Your Highness, have you forgiven me? Zhao Xinhui asked. Because her face was swollen, her words were a little muffled. Seeing Zhao Xinhui like this, Zhao Yun'er suppressed her laughter in her heart. Bitches had to be dealt with eventually. This time, Zhao Xinhui had suffered a lot. She probably wouldn't jump around too much for the time being. She was afraid that she would forget the pain after the scar healed. Did I say that I forgave you? Mu Lianfeng asked indifferently with raised eyebrows. Zhao Xinhui's heart tightened and she looked at Mu Lianfeng in confusion. She asked, Then what does your Highness mean? I remember that you wanted to tell the villagers about me and Yun'er here and publicize it, didn't you? You'd better keep your mouth shut. Otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. Mu Lianfeng threatened. Zhao Xinhui didn't dare to disobey. Moreover, Zhao Yun'er's family was your Highness, not some random man. She didn't intend to tell anyone. In the future, she might even come to Zhao Yun'er's place often and seduce Mu Lianfeng. Yes. Your Highness, don't worry. I don't think I'll tell anyone. Mu Lianfeng was relieved and told Zhao Xinhui to get out of here quickly. Seeing Zhao Xinhui's back view leaving, Zhao Yun'er felt good in her heart. She looked forward to seeing Zhao Xinhui's reaction when she saw her swollen face. Let's go inside. Mu Lianfeng said gently to Zhao Yun'er. His attitude was very different from how he treated Zhao Xinhui just now. Yes. Zhao Yun'er was in a good mood. Mu Lianfeng's image in her heart was even higher. Dao Du praised Mu Lianfeng as soon as they entered the room. Father, you're so amazing. You protected Mother. Mu Lianfeng rubbed Dao Du's head. Of course. Father is a man. Of course I should protect you and Mother. The three of them laughed together and the atmosphere was harmonious. Zhao Yun'er was in a trance and she felt like they were a family. After the banquet at old Zhao's house, under Zhao Baoshan's arrangement, xuanhuan returned all of young Master Meng's things to Zhao Yun'er. Mother, take a look. We've already used the scissors on this piece of cloth to make clothes for me. We can't return it back. Let's keep it. It's just a bolt of cloth anyway. Young Master Meng might not even remember it, Zhao Xinhui said vaguely as she tugged at xuanhuan. When she came back and saw her own face, she almost went crazy with anger. Now she didn't even dare to leave the house. She had to wait at home for the swelling on her face to disappear before she dared to go out. Xuanhuan looked at Zhao Xinhui with a pained expression. That's true. It's just a bolt of cloth. Young Master Meng definitely doesn't remember it. That little bitch beat you up like this. She should at least leave some interest. Then mother, let's keep 3 pieces of jewelry. The jewelry is too expensive. You might be able to tell. The cloth isn't cheap either, but he probably won't pay attention to this. Let's keep the cloth, xuanhuan said. Zhao Xinhui thought about it and agreed. It was better to have such expensive cloth than to have nothing. After checking the things that young Master Meng sent over, Zhao Baoshan said to Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao, third brother's wife, I reckon that Yuner is angry with us now. You guys can send these things over. Okay. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao nodded. Okay father. We'll send them over. Chapter 293. The cart was made of wood, and it was a common transportation tool in the countryside. Xuanhuan looked at the cart full of goods being taken away. She was reluctant to part with them. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao delivered the goods to Zhao Yuner's house. Zhao Yuner didn't have a good attitude towards her parents. Instead of being angry with them, it was more like she was disappointed. When would she be able to change her parents' stubborn personalities? If they continued to be like this, she would be killed by them. It would be better for her to cut off her relationship with her parents before she was killed, so that she wouldn't have such a miserable ending. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao weren't fools. They could tell that Zhao Yuner didn't want to talk to them. Yuner, are you mad at me? Liang Jinxiao asked cautiously. He didn't dare to look into Zhao Yuner's eyes. Mother, do you think I should be mad at you? Liang Jinxiao roughly guessed what Zhao Yuner was thinking. What else could Zhao Yuner be mad at? She was mad that Xuanhuan didn't tell her that Xuanhuan had received gifts from Lord Meng. Liang Jinxiao sighed and explained to Zhao Yuner, Yuner, I was going to tell you, but I thought you would make a fuss if you knew. Today is your eldest cousin brother's wedding. I wanted to tell you after the banquet. Zhao Yuner roughly understood Liang Jinxiao's meaning. According to Liang Jinxiao, if she knew in advance, she would definitely make a fuss with old Zhao's family. It was meaningless to talk about it now, and Zhao Yuner didn't want to think about it anymore. Mother, this is the last time. In the future, if old Zhao's family has anything to do with me, you must inform me as soon as possible. Zhao Yuner exhorted. Seeing the nervousness and guilt in Liang Jinxiao's eyes, Zhao Yuner couldn't bear it. I will, Yuner. Mother won't do that again. And? Zhao Yuner replied faintly. Zhao Yuner moved all the things into her room. Young Master Meng was really generous. All the things he sent over were good things. With so much money, who knew how many beautiful women he could buy? Zhao Yuner couldn't figure out why young Master Meng was interested in her. It was indeed not safe for her to keep these things in her rundown house. Tomorrow she would go to Yang City to find out where young Master Meng lived and send these things to him. Early the next morning, Zhao Yuner sent Bullfrog to Sun Zhanshuan's place. After settling the bill, she went to find out. Young Master Meng was considered a figure in Yang City, so it wasn't difficult to find his residence. Zhao Yuner quickly found the Meng residence. There was a manservant guarding the entrance of the Meng residence. He stopped Zhao Yuner and didn't let Zhao Yuner in. Little brother, I'm here to return these things today. Please help me and inform your family's young master. The manservant saw that although Zhao Yuner's clothes were a little shabby, she looked delicate and pretty. She didn't have the rustic temperament of a country girl. He had a good impression of Zhao Yuner. Coupled with the sweet smile on Zhao Yuner's face, the manservant couldn't bear to refuse. Thus he said to Zhao Yuner, then wait here. I'll go and inform my family's young master. Then little brother, I'll have to trouble you. Just say that my name is Zhao Yuner. Okay. The manservant went in to report. Soon young Master Meng came out. Chapter 294. Young Master Meng's voice, coupled with that wretched smile, made Zhao Yuner feel a little disgusted. She snorted softly and said to young Master Meng, Young Master Meng, you're really impressive. You've even figured out my background so clearly. Young Master Meng said somewhat proudly, Of course. In Yang City there's nothing that this young master can't do. Since this young master has taken a fancy to you, then you can't run away. Follow this young master and you'll have a good life in the future. Don't worry. Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched a few times. I don't know why young Master Meng has taken a fancy to this little woman. There's nothing special about this little woman, right? I'm not very good looking and I'm not young either. With young Master Meng's status, what kind of woman can't you have? I don't know if young Master Meng can be magnanimous and let me go. Zhao Yuner admitted that she was a little cowardly and did not dare to offend young Master Meng. In this era she could not deal with rich and powerful people just because she knew some mediocre martial arts. Young Master Meng smiled and said, Miss Yun is belittling herself too much. In this young master's eyes, Miss Yun is different from ordinary women. You're somewhat unique. Young Master Meng's words almost made Zhao Yun vomit blood. Then since young Master Meng has investigated my family's matters so clearly, then do you know that I'm already a married woman with a child? Young Master Meng shouldn't have such a heavy taste, right? He shouldn't be interested in a married woman with a son, right? Men generally didn't like clean women, especially in ancient times. They probably valued women's chastity even more. Young Master Meng was slightly stunned, then said with a smile, That's fine. Didn't you say that Miss Yun doesn't have a husband? You're just taking care of a child. This young master isn't such a petty person, so I won't mind too much. Zhao Yun felt like crying but had no tears. Damn it, so she had to thank young Master Meng for not despising her? Young Master Meng, what you heard might be a little off. It's not that I don't have a husband, it's just that my husband wasn't by my side in the past. He came back a few days ago. Young Master Meng, if you really like this little woman, then it's a pity. Our great Zhou country's laws state that a married woman cannot remarry. Marrying a married woman is the same crime 50 times. Zhao Yun racked her brains to deal with Child Meng. She had to find a reason to make Child Meng give up on her. Zhao Yun thought that her reason could fool young Master Meng, but in the end, Zhao Yun realized that she was still too naive. Young Master Meng faintly said, Miss Yun, you don't have to worry about this. Later this young master will speak to your husband and then he will divorce you. At that time this young master can openly marry you. Zhao Yun felt that a mouthful of blood was stuck in her chest, and she almost spat it out. She really admired young Master Meng. She didn't know what was so special about her that made young Master Meng so persistent. Young Master Meng? Actually, this little woman just wants to live a simple life. I don't want to live a luxurious life. Please be merciful and let me go. A forcibly picked melon won't be sweet. I believe that young Master Meng can find someone better than me. Zhao Yun could only say it directly. She couldn't let young Master Meng go at all. Chapter 295. As Zhao Yun spoke, she pointed out the things on her little donkey to young Master Meng. Young Master Meng, these are your things. I've returned them to you. Yun was just an ordinary woman. She had never seen so much money before. It's not safe in my house. Young Master Meng, please take them back. After Zhao Yun finished speaking, young Master Meng's entire face darkened. This woman rejected him like this. No one had ever dared to speak to him like this. Young Master Meng's original patience was worn out. Zhao Yun, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Young Master Meng gritted his teeth and warned. Young Master Meng, I don't dare to offend you, but I'm a married woman. A figure like you wouldn't forcefully snatch a commoner's wife, right? Then let's see if this young master dares. Zhao Yun's brows furrowed together in worry. Young Master Meng's tricks were not something she could deal with. Just as Zhao Yun was frowning and not knowing what to do, a familiar voice sounded behind her. Zhao Yun turned around and realized that the person was Helian Qin. Helian Qin first called out to young Master Meng. In Yang City, the Helian family had business dealings with young Master Meng. When young Master Meng saw Helian Qin coming over, his attitude instantly became humble. After all, the Helian family's power was not ordinary. Basically, all the businessmen in Yang City did not dare to offend the Helian family. Helian Qin did not expect to see Zhao Yun here. He was pleasantly surprised. Miss Yun, why are you here? I'm here to look for young Master Meng. Is young Master Helian also here to look for young Master Meng? Ah yes. We're here to discuss some business matters. I didn't expect Miss Yun to be here too. This is really fate. Zhao Yun forced a smile and said, yes. Young Master Meng did not expect that Zhao Yun would actually know Helian Qin, and from the looks of it, the two of them seemed to be very familiar with each other. Young Master Helian, you also know Miss Yun? Young Master Meng asked in embarrassment. If he had a good relationship with Helian Qin, he really didn't dare to offend Zhao Yun. Helian Qin nodded. I've seen him a few times. When young Master Meng heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as they weren't close friends. If Zhao Yun tattled on him in front of Helian Qin and Helian Qin got angry, he would be finished. Helian Qin turned to Zhao Yun and asked, May I know why Miss Yun is here? I'm returning something to young Master Meng. As he spoke, he pointed at the thing on his little donkey. Young Master Meng couldn't say no now, so he said to the man who sent things to Zhao Yun'er's house last time, "Yun, you go and check the things." Yun nodded. "Yes, master." After Yun checked the things in Zhao Yun'er's car, he said to young Master Meng, "Young master, the other things are correct, but we're missing a bolt of cloud brocade." Zhao Yun'er shrugged. "Young Master Meng, your things are all here. Anyway, I didn't take them. If anything is missing, please go and find my grandparents again. After all, I wasn't the one who accepted these things back then. Little brother, you also know this." Zhao Yun'er pointed at Yun. Yun nodded at young Master Meng. Back then he had no choice but to do this because he saw that Zhao Yun'er insisted on not accepting it. Chapter 296. If she didn't escape now, Zhao Yun'er was afraid that she wouldn't have that chance anymore. After all, she wouldn't be lucky enough to meet Helianchen every time. As for what Yun said about missing a bolt of cloud brocade, she knew that it must have been taken by old Zhao's family. They probably thought that young Master Meng wouldn't find out. Anyway, this matter had nothing to do with her. Even if it was missing, young Master Meng could just find old Zhao's family. She wanted to know how old Zhao's family would deal with it. Helianchen seemed to have forgotten the purpose of coming to young Master Meng's place today. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er had left, he hurriedly followed. "Young Master Helian, is there something you need?" Zhao Yun'er asked. Helianchen shook his head and said, "Nothing. I just want to know if Miss Yun'er has seen Ah Feng." The Ah Feng that Helianchen mentioned was Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yun'er didn't know why Helianchen asked this. Thinking of what Mu Lianfeng said before, Zhao Yun'er felt that it was better not to reveal Mu Lianfeng's information. It wasn't that she didn't trust Helianchen, but Zhao Yun'er didn't want any accidents to happen. Anyway, Mu Lianfeng's injuries were almost healed and he could return to the heir apparent's residence soon. Even if others were worried, they wouldn't be worried for long. Zhao Yun'er smiled and said to Helianchen, "Young Master Helian, you must be joking. How could I have seen young Master Mu? Did something happen to young Master Mu?" Helianchen smiled and shook his head. "It's nothing. I thought he would go to your place." Zhao Yun'er couldn't read Helianchen's thoughts, but she saw the disappointment and worry in Helianchen's eyes. It was probably because he couldn't find Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yun'er didn't understand the situation in the Shitzi mansion. She knew that Mu Lianfeng was fine and that he was recuperating in her home. As for other things, Zhao Yun'er didn't want to think too much about it. "Young Master Helian, there is nothing else, right? If there is nothing else, then I will leave first." Zhao Yun'er said her goodbyes. "Wait. Miss Yun'er, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss your cooking very much. I wonder if I can go to Miss Yun'er's house for lunch today?" Helianchen licked his lips greedily. What he missed the most was Zhao Yun'er's red braised pork and the delicious mushrooms. Anyway, he had eaten in so many restaurants, but he had never eaten anything better than Zhao Yun'er's cooking. After seeing Zhao Yun'er, the worms in his stomach stirred. If he didn't eat Zhao Yun'er's cooking today, his body would probably feel very uncomfortable. The corner of Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. She was a little confused by Helianchen's sudden words. He specially went to her house just to eat her cooking? Helianchen saw Zhao Yun'er's troubled expression and hurriedly said, "Miss Yun'er, don't worry. I definitely won't freeload this time. How about this? Put the ingredients on my tab and I will pay you another 500 copper coins. What do you think?" Zhao Yun'er guessed that Helianchen had misunderstood her. If it was just one meal, how much could he eat her food? Zhao Yun'er was worried that if Helianchen went to her house, wouldn't he discover Mu Lianfeng? She still had to discuss this matter with Mu Lianfeng. "But, young Master Helian, isn't it too troublesome for you to come to my house so far away?" Helianchen seemed to be very indifferent. "It's okay, Miss Yun'er. I don't think it's troublesome. I have nothing to do anyway." Chapter 297. The corner of Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. This guy was really not easy to get rid of. Looking at Helianchen's expectant eyes, Zhao Yun'er laughed embarrassedly and said to Helianchen, "Young Master Helian, you have time now, but I still have other things to do." So, Helianchen was not stupid. He knew that Zhao Yun'er meant to reject him. He could not help but feel a little disappointed. "Miss Yun'er, if I have time in the future, can I go to your house to eat?" "Of course. All right then. Miss Yun'er, you go ahead. I'll leave first." Looking at Helianchen's departing figure, Zhao Yun'er heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Zhao Yun'er did not go back immediately. Instead, she went to the market to walk around. There were still some things at home that needed to be bought. In the past, she did not have the money to save. Now that she could earn so much money every day, she still wanted to live a more exquisite life. She bought some vegetables and some bottles and jars of food back. When she was about to go back, she saw a small stall hanging on it. This stall is for sale. The price can be discussed in detail. It was a snack stall that was still doing business. Xiaoyun took a look. The snack stall's business was not bad. There were many customers coming and going. It was probably related to the craftsmanship and the location of the market. Logically speaking, this kind of stall should be able to earn a lot of money in a month. But why was it still for sale? Xiaoyun walked over. The owner of the stall was an old woman in her 50s or 60s. Her movements were nimble. She served the customers faster and the things looked clean. Seeing Xiaoyun walk over, the old woman greeted her with a smile. "Miss, are you here to eat? See if there's anything you like to eat. You can order it." Xiaoyun shook her head and said, "Granny, I see that your stall is for sale. Your business is doing well. How are you going to sell it?" The old woman smiled. "My wife is going to give birth to a son. I also want to hold a grandson. Now that I'm busy with the stall and everyone is taking care of her, it won't do. That's why I want to change my business. I'll be able to serve her during her confinement period." Xiaoyun nodded, thinking that this old woman was really not bad. If it was an ordinary mother-in-law, she would probably be reluctant to sell such a profitable shop and return to serve her daughter-in-law. "Miss, do you want to take over my stall? To be honest, if I had the skills, it wouldn't be bad to set up a stall here. I could earn 100 or 200 coins a day." The price of the items sold was not high, but the profits were small and quick. "If you do well, you might even earn more than me." Xiaoyun continued to ask, "How much would it cost to sell Granny's stall? If you want to transfer, you'll have to pay 2 taels of silver first. In the future, you'll have to pay 1 tael of silver a year to rent the stall." Xiaoyun calculated. This was not cheap. If it was not done well, she might have to pay for it every year. Xiaoyun sighed and said, "Then forget it. It's too risky." "Miss, are you complaining that the rent is too expensive? If Miss has the heart to take over, we can discuss the price." The old woman was also a little anxious that the stall had not been rented out after a month. Xiaoyun still shook her head. "Granny, I don't want to do business for the time being. After all, I still have to discuss this with my family. How about this, if Granny hasn't transferred out in a few days, we can discuss the price again. What do you think?" Chapter 298. All right, Mississippi. Let me know when you've made up your mind. Okay. Xiaoyun drove the donkey back to the village. With the donkey she came back much earlier. It was only 10 in the morning. When she passed by Family Zhu, she heard the Family Zhu quarreling. Xiaoyun heard the fierce quarrel and guessed that something must have happened. She parked the donkey in front of Family Zhu's door and Xiaoyun walked in. The moment she entered the courtyard, she heard Mrs. Zhu's cursing. The content of her cursing was also very filthy and unpleasant. Xiaoyun saw Mulan protecting a little girl behind her. The little girl was not very old, about 6 or 7 years old. Because she had been malnourished for a long time, she was thin and dry. She looked very small, even smaller than Zhu San. The little girl was Mulan's child, Erhua. She hid behind Mulan and was trembling a little. Xiaoyun saw that Erhua's face was a little red and swollen. There was also a palm print. It was obvious that she had been slapped. He was such a young child, yet he hit him so hard. How ruthless was he? "Mother, Erhua is young and doesn't know any better. She ate when she was hungry. Mother, please don't hit her, okay?" Mulan pleaded. Mrs. Zhu snorted coldly, "She's just a good-for-nothing. Why don't you hit her? Will she learn her lesson if you don't hit her? Why are you still protecting her, you little b*tc? Get out of my way." "Mother, isn't it just a steamed egg? Let's make another one. Erhua will definitely learn her lesson this time." Mrs. Zhu sneered, "Isn't it just a steamed egg? It's easy for you to say. Do you think eggs are cheap? They're very precious. Even an old woman like me can't bear to eat them, but this good-for-nothing ate them." The more Mrs. Zhu thought about it, the angrier she became. She picked up the broom and threw it at Mulan. Erhua screamed in fright. How could a child withstand such a scare? Mulan quickly held Erhua in her arms so that Mrs. Zhu's broom wouldn't hit Erhua. However, she was the one who was injured. The broom fell heavily on Mulan's back. It hurt just by looking at it. Mrs. Zhu was really merciless. She used so much strength. Fortunately, she hit Mulan. If it hit Erhua, her petite body would not be able to withstand it. Cruel and merciless old woman, Xiaoyun cursed in her heart. Looking at Mrs. Zhu's appearance, she felt disgusted. How could there be such an annoying person? Now she sympathized with Mulan even more. Stop. Zhao Yun'er scolded and pulled up Mulan and Erhua from the ground. Mrs. Zhu glanced at Zhao Yun'er and said in a displeased tone, "What do you mean stop? I'm teaching my family a lesson. What does it have to do with you? Do you want to interfere?" Zhao Yun'er took a deep breath. She knew that she was meddling in other people's business. However, she had a good relationship with Mulan. She couldn't just watch Mulan be bullied like this. Her mother was also a stubborn person. She didn't want Mulan to continue enduring like this. She would be as miserable as her mother for the rest of her life. Anti-family Zhu, I don't mean to meddle in your family's business. I'm just saying something fair. It's just a child who stole a bowl of steamed egg. Aren't you afraid of hurting her by hitting her so hard? If this goes on, won't you need a doctor to treat her? Zhao Yun'er said with a cold smile. Chapter 299. Mrs. Zhu said in an aggressive tone. She probably thought that Zhao Yun'er wouldn't give her an egg. In the countryside, ordinary people wouldn't be willing to eat eggs. Eggs were usually saved to exchange for money. Seeing Mrs. Zhu's reaction, Zhao Yun'er said, "Sure, it's just an egg. I'll give it to you later." Mrs. Zhu was struck dumb for a second. She didn't expect that Zhao Yun'er would say that. Mulan said, "Yun'er, you don't need to help me. You can keep the egg for yourself." Mrs. Zhu was furious when she heard that. How could she let Mulan ruin her chance to earn an egg? "You bitch, what are you talking about? If I don't want you, I'll make an egg out of you." Mulan looked a little sad. She thought for a while, then said to her mother, "Mom, I made some money a while ago. That money should be enough to buy a lot of eggs, right?" Mrs. Zhu was displeased when Mulan mentioned that. "You did make some money, but isn't it to supplement our family, Zhu? You eat and drink family Zhu's food. Isn't food money money?" Zhao Yun'er really admired Mrs. Zhu's ability to turn black into white. "Mrs. Family Zhu, you're wrong. If Mulan didn't make money, she would still be able to eat and drink family Zhu. She can't save money, right? For an egg, you beat and scolded her and her child. I think Mrs. Mulan shouldn't help the family Zhu to make money. Anyway, she won't gain anything. The child was treated like that just because he ate an egg." Zhao Yun'er said angrily. She was helping Mulan to say that to Mrs. Zhu. She believed that Mulan didn't dare to say it out loud herself. Zhao Yun'er can be said to be mercilessly exposed, making old Madame Zhu lose face. The most important thing is that old Madame Zhu is afraid that Mulan will really learn from Zhao Yun'er and not sell things in Yang City to make money. "Zhao Yun'er, get out of here right now. It's none of your business. Today I'll beat this bitch and the little bastard to death." Mrs. Zhu angrily held the broom and was ready to teach Mulan and Erhua a lesson. She just wanted to regain some face from them and make Mulan continue to listen to her. Zhao Yun'er couldn't hit an old woman. If she did something to Mrs. Zhu, she didn't know how this disgusting old woman would blackmail her later. However, she couldn't let Mrs. Zhu bully Mulan like this. Zhao Yun'er was worried when a young man walked into the yard. It was Mulan's husband, Zhu Eru. Zhu Eru was tall and strong, but he was a little thin. His skin was dark and it was obvious that he often worked in the fields. When he saw Mrs. Zhu's broom was about to fall on his wife and child, he hurried forward and grabbed Mrs. Zhu's hand. "Mother, what are you doing? Why are you hitting Lan'er and Erhua?" Mrs. Zhu snorted. "It's all because of your wife and the little bastard. The little bastard secretly ate the egg soup, and Mulan is still protecting her." Chapter 300. After so many years, Zhu Eru had figured out what kind of people Mulan and his mother were. Zhu Eru didn't listen to Mrs. Zhu's side of the story. Instead he asked Mulan first. "Mother, Erhua is a glutton. It's okay for her to eat a bowl of steamed egg, right? The child is so young. What if you hurt her? It's normal for Mulan to protect her. If I were here I would protect Erhua too. You're such an unfilial son. You've really forgotten your mother after you got married. Now you're protecting your wife, right?" "Mother, I'm not protecting anyone. I'm just telling the truth. For so many years, Mulan has been working hard for our family. She has done all kinds of hard work. However, you hurt Mulan because of such a small thing. You shouldn't have done that." Zhu Eru didn't want to say these words at first. Now that he didn't say it, he felt uncomfortable, especially when he saw that his wife and daughter were injured. He was Mrs. Zhu's son, but he was also Mulan's wife and Erhua's father. If he couldn't even protect his wife and daughter, was he still a man? Mrs. Zhu was so angry that she shouted again, "You're wrong, Eru. How can you say that? How can you say that about your own mother? The family Zhu has really raised an ungrateful son of a bitch. Mrs. Zhu's scolding became more and more unpleasant. Zhu Eru was grateful to his parents for bringing him up. Over the years, he worked hard so that the family Zhu didn't have to live so hard. Even these favors were repaid. His mother was becoming more and more unreasonable. After enduring for so many years, Zhu Eru finally exploded this time. Mother, if you think that Lan'er and I didn't do well, let's split up, okay? In the future we'll live our own lives separately. We won't eat a mouthful of food from the family Zhu. Zhu Eru said with some anger. This sentence really angered Mrs. Zhu. What did you say? You want to split up? Oh my god, why am I so unlucky to have given birth to such a heartless son? He actually dares to talk to me about splitting up. I'm not dead yet. As Mrs. Zhu cried, she sat down on the ground and began to wail. This sound would probably attract the attention of the crowd later. Zhao Yun'er was also speechless. As the saying goes, dirty linen should not be aired in public. However, Mrs. Zhu seemed to want people to know that her son and she were splitting up. Zhu Eru frowned. This time he was determined. No matter how Mrs. Zhu made a fuss, he would not relent. If it was in the past, Mulan would probably have relented when she saw that her family was in conflict. But this time she was silent. If they really split up, it might be a good thing. Previously, Zhao Yun'er had mentioned to her about splitting up, but she felt that it was impossible. She didn't mention it in front of Zhu Eru because it would hurt their relationship. Now that Zhu Eru had said it out loud, she wouldn't stop him. Today's matter had already broken Mulan's heart. Mother, if we don't split up, you can control what we eat. The child is greedy and eats a little. If you do this, Lan'er and we won't be angry with you. There are many people in the village who have split up. Why don't we also split up this time to avoid so many quarrels? Zhu Eru said. Another man walked over from the courtyard. It was family Zhu's eldest son, Zhu Daniu. The red swelling and palm print on her little face had yet to disappear. Everyone had children and grandchildren. When they saw Erhua being beaten up like this, they couldn't help but feel sympathy for her. This family Zhu's old lady is too cruel, isn't she? Your little girl is beaten up like this. If she was beaten a little harder, she might have died. Chapter 302. Well, they're all biased. Family Zhu's second son and second daughter-in-law are both disliked. Well, they can't do that. They beat and scolded their wife and children. Eru can't be blamed for separating from them. Nobody can accept it. Exactly, I think it's better for them to separate from family Zhu. Let's see if family Zhu's mother can live a good life after that. Zhao Yun'er listened to their discussion on the side. She noticed that all the villagers were biased towards Zhu Eru. Of course, in the discussion of these people, Zhao Yun'er also added fuel to the fire. When all the villagers agreed that family Zhu should separate from them, Zhu Eru and Mulan could really separate from each other this time. Zhu Daniu and Mrs. Zhu were both angry when they heard the villagers' discussion. It seemed that if they didn't follow Zhu Eru's order, they would be scolded later. Compared with Mrs. Zhu, Zhu Daniu was more anxious. Eru were biological brothers. Our third younger brother hasn't married yet. It's not good for us to separate from each other now. Why don't we wait until our third younger brother is married? Zhu Daniu sighed. It seemed that he cared more about this family. Brother, our third younger brother is still young. We don't know how long we'll have to wait for our third younger brother to get married. At that time Lan'er and Erhua will be dead. Brother, I've already told you that we can separate from each other. You can live a happy life together. Eru, is it worth it to hurt the harmony of our family because of such a trivial thing? Zhu Daniu pretended to be sad. After Zhu Daniu finished speaking, he came out to face the people who were afraid of him. Daniu, it's easy for you to say that. You just don't want to separate from each other. After all, you and your wife have done less work than Eru and his wife. Your mother is biased towards you. What do you mean by hurting the harmony? How did your mother treat the second branch? We all saw it with our own eyes. A woman stood out and sneered. Since she wasn't afraid of causing trouble, she didn't hold back at all. The other villagers followed suit. It's good that you're separated. You won't be bullied every day if you're separated from the second branch. Daniu, you're filial. You can live with your mother in the future. Why are you dragging Eru away? I don't know what he's thinking. Even his own brother is like this. Zhu Daniu was so scared that he didn't know how to respond. Her face turned bright red from embarrassment. These people had already made it so clear. If he still tried to persuade Zhu Eru not to split, he would probably be scolded for being thick-skinned. Thus, he lowered his voice and blinked his eyes to signal old Madame Zhu. Mrs. Zhu said to Zhu Eru with a cold face, "You unfilial son. If you really want to separate from the family, then you won't get a single thing from our family, Zhu." Mrs. Zhu just wanted to intimidate Zhu Eru. After all, if they really didn't get a single thing, Zhu Eru, Mulan and their children wouldn't be able to survive at all. Zhu Eru frowned. Seeing that Zhu Eru didn't say anything, Mrs. Zhu was a little proud. She knew that her words would scare Zhu Eru. The villagers couldn't stand it anymore and began to defend Zhu Eru. "How can you do this? No matter how biased you are, you can't leave nothing behind after splitting from the family. Eru has worked so hard for the family Zhu before." Chapter 303. The eldest and youngest sons are sons, but isn't the second son also a son? Won't you be punished by the heavens if you do this? The villagers chattered away, making Mrs. Zhu lose face. Mrs. Zhu scolded the onlookers. "What right do outsiders have to meddle in our family Zhu's affairs? I can do whatever I want." "Aha, Andy family Zhu, what are you saying? We're not meddling in other people's affairs. We just can't stand it. If you act like this, I'll see who dares to marry an unreasonable person like you in the future. Your third son isn't married yet, right? Your grandson still has to marry a wife in the future, right? Your granddaughter still has to marry, right? Don't ruin your reputation." Mrs. Zhu was really frightened by what others said. In the village, other things were not important, but reputation was still very important. If people spread rumors, then it would really be troublesome for family Zhu to marry a wife or daughter in the future. Mrs. Zhu frowned. Because of these meddlesome people, she had no choice but to share some things with Zhu Eru even if she didn't want to. Zhu Eru said, "Mother, I don't want much. Just give me a room in our house so that Lana, the children, and I can have a place to stay. We have a total of 6 mu of paddy fields and 2 mu of dry land. Give me 1 mu of paddy field and half a mu of dry land. The rest will be given to eldest brother and third brother." In this way, Zhu Eru didn't have much. If they really split the family assets evenly, they would get more than this. "Andy family Zhu, Eru doesn't want much. You have to give it to him, right?" Mrs. Zhu didn't say anything. Instead, she looked at Zhu Dainyu and asked for Zhu Dainyu's opinion. Although this request didn't sound like much, Zhu Dainyu still felt that he was at a disadvantage. "Second brother, you also know that third brother is still studying. His school expenses for a year are 2 taels of silver. We paid for it together before we split from the family. If we split from the family, you'll have to bear half of it, right?" After Zhu Dainyu finished speaking, a villager started to spit out, "Your third brother also got some of the farmland. Shouldn't he give some of his annual harvest to Eru? Isn't it obvious that he's bullying us?" "That's right. You shouldn't bully people like this." Zhu Dainyu's face and ears turned red from fear. His wishful thinking was not given a chance for him to carry out. Thus, someone suggested, "I think Eru should just share 1/3 of the cost. Actually, it's understandable even if he doesn't share the cost after we split up. Andy family Zhu, if Eru were to share 1/3 of the money, would the family be able to be divided like this?" Well, family Zhu's old lady still didn't know what to say. She couldn't calculate this by herself. Instead, she looked at Zhu Dainyu. Zhu Dainyu thought for a while. If Zhu Eru could share 1/3 of the cost of his third brother's tuition, it would be fine. As for the other 1/3, his third brother's annual harvest would be enough. Now that the villagers were watching them split from the family assets, they couldn't bully Zhu Eru too much. In fact, after thinking about it carefully, if his third brother got married and split from the family assets, he wouldn't be able to get so much farmland. Thus, Zhu Dainyu nodded and said, "Okay. If Eru can share 1/3 of my third brother's tuition, we'll split it like this." Chapter 304. 1 mu of paddy field, half a mu of dry land, 3 children, and 600 to 700 copper coins every year. Life in the future should be very difficult. Mulan nodded. She was not afraid of these. She and Zhu Eru were hardworking people. As long as the two of them worked hard, they would be able to live a good life. If it was before, Mulan would not have any confidence. Now that she could do business on the street and earn money, she could work harder and make more baskets to sell. That's good. Big brother, mother, it's settled. In the future, mother will live with you. Our second branch will be separated. Also, second brother, you have to bear some of mother's alimony every year. It depends on how much you want, but you can't let me and third brother bear it. Deal? Thus, the separation of the family Zhu was witnessed by the villagers. Zhao Yun, also breathed a sigh of relief. On the surface, Mulan and her man got less and were at a disadvantage. However, Mulan was considered to have escaped the clutches of the devil, which was also quite fortunate. As long as she was hardworking and willing to use her brain, there was nothing that she could not live on. Zhao Yun was not worried about Mulan's situation at all. After watching the show at the family Zhu, it was already past 11 o'clock. Zhao Yun hurried the little donkey back home. Daodu and Mu Lianfeng were sitting in the house. Mu Lianfeng was teaching Daodu his homework. Among the books that Zhao Yun bought, there were the 3-character classic, the 1,000-character classic, and the Book of Songs. At this time, Mu Lianfeng and Daodu were explaining the Book of Songs. Zhao Yun arrived and stood at the door. She heard Mu Lianfeng's mouth read, "The peach blossoms are bright and beautiful. The son of Yu Gue is suitable for his wife. The peach blossoms are bright and beautiful. The son of Yu Gue is suitable for his wife. The peach blossoms are bright and beautiful. Yu Gue, the son of God, belongs to his family." Zhao Yun'er didn't know much about these ancient texts. When she was young, her grandfather liked classical literature and had talked about it to her. Although she didn't understand the meaning of the poem, Zhao Yun liked it immediately. She felt that it was beautifully written. Daodu was only 3 years old, so he naturally didn't understand what the poem was about. He asked in a soft and cute voice, "Daddy, what does this poem mean?" Daodu doesn't understand. Mu Lianfeng patted Daodu's head affectionately. "You're still young. It's normal that you don't understand. You'll understand when you grow up. But Daddy really likes this poem now." Daodu was a little confused. Why does father like this poem? Because of the artistic conception of this poem, Mu Lianfeng said. He recited the poem silently again while imagining Zhao Yun'er holding a bouquet of bright peach blossoms in her hand. It was indescribably beautiful. He was waiting for the day when this beautiful woman would marry him and become his wife. In the past, when he didn't have a woman he liked, he didn't understand the beauty of this poem. What artistic conception is it? Zhao Yun'er walked in and asked with a smile. She also wanted to hear what Mu Lianfeng had to say. Mu Lianfeng was slightly surprised, then the corners of his mouth rose into a smile. It was so beautiful that it took people's breath away. Nothing. Artistic conception is something that can't be explained. You can only experience it yourself, Mu Lianfeng said, but didn't say that he was thinking of Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er smiled and didn't continue to ask, because she also knew that artistic conception could only be understood and not explained. Chapter 305. I'm going to prepare dinner. You two should take a break too. You've been studying all morning, Zhao Yun'er said. Mu Lianfeng closed his book and nodded. Daodu sensibly said to Zhao Yun, "Mother, Daodu will help you with the fire." "I'll go too." Mu Lianfeng eagerly followed. Both the adult and the child wanted to help her with the fire, and Zhao Yun didn't stop them. However, Mu Lianfeng had never done something like starting a fire before. Because of Mu Lianfeng's status, he usually didn't come into contact with such things. The adult and the child stood in front of the stove. Zhao Yun was cooking above, but she didn't see the fire start for a long time. After a while, she realized that it was Mu Lianfeng who was making the fire. Daodu was guiding him from the side. "Father, this is a fire starter. Before you start the fire, you have to loosen the grass. You have to burn the grass that's easy to burn. A wooden stick won't ignite immediately." Although Daodu was young, he was better at this kind of thing than Mu Lianfeng, who was an adult. Mu Lianfeng listened and nodded seriously. "Okay, father will give it a try." Yes, father, you can do it." Haha, Mu Lianfeng followed Daodu's instructions and sure enough, the fire started. "Daodu, look, it's on fire." Mu Lianfeng suddenly felt a sense of accomplishment. "Father, you're awesome." Daodu praised. The corners of Zhao Yun'er's mouth couldn't help but curl up. Looking at the interaction between these two people, she suddenly felt that the atmosphere was a little warm. When the pot was hot, Zhao Yun poured some rapeseed oil into it. After a while, the oil heated up, and a fragrant smell came out. She poured the chopped chili and bird eggs into the pot, and prepared to stir-fry the chili and scramble eggs. Spicy food was more appetizing. He had been eating a lot of meat recently, so it was a little oily. Recently, Zhao Yun'er also had some indigestion in her stomach. She hoped that these two meals would be as light as possible. The dishes would go well with the rice but not so greasy. In addition, he stir-fried a plate of cabbage, thickened a plate of mapo tofu, and added some egg drop soup. Although there was no meat, it tasted good. It was also very sumptuous. However, when the chili scrambled eggs, there was a pungent spicy smell that made people sneeze uncontrollably. It was very uncomfortable. Zhao Yuner used to stir-fry chili peppers, so she had already gotten used to the taste. It was Mu Lianfeng's first time experiencing it. He kept sneezing and his whole face turned red. Zhao Yuner looked at Mu Lianfeng worriedly and asked, "Young Master Mu, do you want to go out and get some fresh air?" Ahem, Mu Lianfeng coughed and waved his hand. "It's okay, Yuner. At first I was choking badly, but now I'm much better." Zhao Yuner glanced at Mu Lianfeng in disbelief, wondering if Mu Lianfeng was trying to be brave. Mu Lianfeng pretended to be calm and did not have any special reaction. Zhao Yuner retracted her gaze and continued to cook. Mu Lianfeng held back his cough. It was really uncomfortable. But he did not want to leave. Zhao Yuner often experienced such an uncomfortable feeling. It was too difficult. He did not expect that even cooking was not so easy. His heart ached for Zhao Yuner even more. After cooking, the water in the hanging pot began to boil. Zhao Yuner took out some tea leaves that she had stir-fried previously and soaked a pot of water. The tea leaves had been stored, but she had never drunk them. Because she did not have a thermos at home, the water would cool down very quickly. There was water in the kitchen for cooking, but she was too lazy to take out the tea leaves to soak. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.